Warriors is on a mission to serve America's heroes across the nation and provide them with custom-fit wheelchairs tailored to fit their needs to ensure they're rejoining their lives at the highest level of independent mobility and function possible. From lightweight daily use chairs or adaptive sports chairs to all-terrain wheelchairs to get these warriors outdoors. Wheelchairs for Warriors serves those who've served us. To join their mission, visit their website at wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
The road to Adelup is off and running. This time, we sit down with Republican candidate Speaker Frank Blass and Dr. Mary Okada. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 7th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a glimpses of Guam radio station.
Turn us on and turn up the island dialogue. Wave 105, the talk of Guam, Glimpses Media.
105.1 The Wave is the talk of Guam.
You ready? Who's ready for some of that good love? Count me out.
And you've got it tuned in to Mornings with Patti.
Come on. 1, 2. Good love, that's what I'm drinking. Let's sip it down, go without thinking. Ow! Good love, that's what I'm making. We'll break this house when it stops shaking. Come on, come on. Ow!
You heard the man. You heard the man. He said, come on this 20th of July. It is a Monday morning, and we're happy to get right into it on a beautiful Monday happening outside. Good news about the whatever 90W that was supposed to be hanging around us maybe this week has couldn't get it together. And we're just happy about things that can't get it, especially when it comes to storms. So welcome to the program. Beautiful day happening outside. Still a little bit of traffic because not everybody is off today. The government of Guam is exercising its privilege to have this day off in honor of Liberation Day, which is actually happening tomorrow. But we in the private sector, the federal government, doing our thing. Dice is front and center, ready to make that happen too. Morning there, ma'am. How are you?
Hapaday Guam.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone, and happy advanced liberation, everyone.
Yeah, we're going to be off tomorrow.
Nice.
So that's an opportunity for us to do what you're all doing today, which is what? What do you do the day before the holiday and you're just hanging out with just like, what do you do?
5Ks. We do 5Ks, Patty.
Today?
5
But,
and 10Ks.
I mean, okay.
Well, there was a couple over the weekend. Liberation.
Oh, did you go?
Yes, it was.
Oh,
It was a
cool.
lot of fun.
What's your time?
Air Force Base.
Oh, what was your time?
No. We did the refreshments. We were doing
Oh,
the
okay.
refreshments
Well,
for-
some
it was-
people run it and
was
some
for-
people refresh it.
Yeah,
I'm on the refreshment team myself.
Yeah, it was personnel only. So
Fun.
Yeah, so
Oh,
that was
so-
nice.
yeah, okay,
So it
yeah.
was personnel only. I was like, no civilians this run. They're like, no, you guys.
So
gotta
you
sit
help
this
pass out like
yeah, that was a
water
lot of
and
fun.
stuff.
That was fun. Did some adulting. Got some laundry done over the weekend.
Oh, yuck.
Yeah, we had a few power fluctuations over the weekend. I think
Oh,
we're back
yeah.
to
Everybody
load
felt
shedding.
that one. It was a
Yeah.
Saturday night in the height of the day.
The trauma's real. The trauma was
And this one came
real.
from Ukuru, the spot that was supposed to be. It's been de-virginized now because now they're part of the load shedding crew. We had great hope that something like that wasn't going to happen. In fact, we found out. They said it's like the sun is blazing. How can you screw that up? Well,
that's okay. It's
that
okay.
didn't happen.
Everyone just was outside.
It was the hottest. We were getting ready. We had just come from a wedding ceremony, and we
Okay.
were on our way to the wedding reception.
Got you.
And so I had a little change of clothes and a powdering up of things, right?
Right on.
And then the power goes out. And if you were dressed, and I'm going to refer mostly to women.
Guam weddings are the best weddings.
Oh, well, Ed Suarez was the MC, so that was
and then
that was a lot of fun.
and then that.
Yeah,
so
that
that's
was a lot of fun.
That's top tier. That's a top tier wedding. If Ed Suarez,
Yeah, this is so true.
If you got Ed Suarez, that's top tier.
Yeah. Yeah. So congratulations to Kaylin and Philip Borja. They got married, and it was just a beautiful day. I've known these guys since forever, and it's been really nice to see them finally take that next step. But every woman knows that when you're perfectly coiffed and, the foundation is just right and you've just powdered your nose and your hair is anti-humidified and it's just you're perfectly coiffed and then the power goes out and you're standing there and you're like, oh my God, now I have to sweat before I get to the car. So that was like a moment. I was like, oh my. So I ended up having to just tie up my hair because when it gets humid around here, it just woof. It just all the stuff comes out. So yeah. So anyway, that was first world problems. But I guess to some people it may not feel like first world when your power goes out in perfectly good weather. And I can't remember what it was. I don't remember what the excuse was, but it was just like one of those. It's like doesn't this normally happen? With power generation before Ukuru, wasn't that a thing? I don't know. Well, either way, now everything is open. We're probably, I would just say Ukuru wasn't the solution for everything if the power went out pretty much all over the island. I first got it when I thought it was just us. I always think it's just us, right? And of course, then friends start texting. My power just went out in Chalampago. And then before you know it, Facebook is full of people who are having something to say. I tried to call them. I tried to call the powers that be just to say what's going on. Is it just the thing? Because if you try to call that 475-1472, 1473, or 1474,
right.
I don't know how high it goes.
I think it stops at 4.
Does it stop at 4?
I feel like it
Well,
stops
they need
at
more
4.
lines.
I mean, you got to be real angry to go to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh yeah,
10.
you got
You are
to go
big
down
mad.
the rotation. You got to be pretty pissed off.
Pretty bad.
I'm always saying my rule of thumb is if I call 1472
Okay.
and it's busy, then I'm in line with about 20,000 other people. Is how I feel it. So I'm not going to call and add to the others that are already screaming at them at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to G. At least I have the courtesy to just sit back and they're going to figure it out. It's just the communication on these things comes a little bit later than is they try. But I've said this before, and Simon wasn't feeling it when I said, a lot of times when this happens, it means a lot to have people recognize that when they're in the middle of something that isn't right, that one thing that they look for is immediate information. And the best way to get out information like that is really to go through the media. They prefer to go through social media, which is fine. Simon was making the point that some of this traditional media is dead compared to social media. He was saying, your radio program, although you've been on the air for a long time, does not compare to the masses on social media. So it sounds like they have shifted the policy about communications and is concentrating mostly on the masses, getting the information out as quickly as they can. And I've always been a supporter of, I don't know if it's an adage, but my own idea is that when you don't give correct information, or you don't get it, if you just lack the ability to give people information on a particular thing that everybody is suffering over, then you open your way to speculation, because that's what people do. They'll hear one thing, or they'll figure that they know what the answer is. And sometimes that is more dangerous than the truth. The actual truth may not have been not a big deal, but then when somebody says it's island wide, then you start thinking, and then people start reacting, and then before you know it, there's just like a snowball effect of people really not in the know. And so I've always been a big advocate for, I don't care where you think people are listening. If you hit every button, then you're going to increase the audience by making sure that every platform is aware of what the truth is. And sometimes it just doesn't happen. And when it comes to power generation, people, if you were looking at social media, you were saying, you're hearing people go, oh my God, there's people who still don't even have power right now. They still haven't been restored for one reason or another. Maybe they're that isolated pocket of trouble that they're still working on. But it was pretty funny that they're like, we don't even have power yet, much less knowing that we don't have power. Who's on the line?
Oh, we got D. Cruz.
Oh, D. Cruz is on the line. D, did you feel the power?
Happy pre-liberation.
Yes, indeed. What are you doing for liberation? You're not off tomorrow because you're Coast Guard, so you're not really.
We are federal, and so we're still working, but I always take leave for liberation just in honor.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I do it just in honor of
absolutely
our island.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I would spare eight hours for and normally we do liberation marches and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we're down.
Yeah. Well, maybe Coast Guard, are they going to be involved in any other, representing in any other way? They have that wagon parade. Then they've got the island-wide consolidated memorial. Has the military been involved in any of that?
So we've been placed. I know my captain has been going to like some of the presentations, for reef laying and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they're truly involved in sharing what the island has been through. So we've been really good at that.
Okay.
They do the Menengan. The last time they did some sort of presentation of Menengan. My dad was also there. He goes to because he'll be 94.
Mm-hmm.
So he attends a lot of and also Sumai. Definitely Sumai because that's where my dad was from.
Does he go? Obviously, ultimately, is to honor those in that area that he and those families that he knew. But does he go also to see any of the people that he knows that are still alive and attending? Is this like a reunion?
So they do they do when they do the Sumai and they serve like lunch and stuff to that. He loves to go to those so that way he gets to see. And a lot of the times it's, they're not, I'm sad to say, but there's not that many.
Yeah.
The surviving members have been really graded, and that's only because, so he does go, and they're like just born. I think my dad was telling me that they were, they're babies, so they don't really remember, as much as my dad does, because they're like 1 or 2 year old survivors. They were just, children.
Right.
Like my dad was a kid too, but he was 10,
he was older.
so,
Yeah, he was 10 years old. No,
yeah, he was old, a lot older, and his memory is super sharp. So he does, commingle with a lot of the younger survivors and gets a trip on. He does hang out with. I'm not sure if you know Rose Glenn in DeLay Show from Magana Heights. Her parents too. He's I believe 1 year older than my dad, and they love to sit down, and we just can't pull those two apart because they're just swapping stories left and right because of they're both from the central area. But I was calling to talk to you about the power situation, and it blows my mind that, the light flickers and the power goes out and everybody loses their stinking mind. Mm-hmm. But I want to remind them, those folks that have been here, that are here on Guam, that, the North still doesn't have power.
Yep.
And we're going on almost 4 months now, and I want them to, and a lot of people read social media, you're right, for whatever type of information is being shared. But I just want them to understand that, when we were in Mawar and without power, I was without power for 34 days, power and water. And, it is what it is. Our GP and GWA folks work, really tirelessly and help the island, but just got to remember our folks up north are still without power and water in some areas, and I'm sure that they're still suffering. And
well, here's the thing about not having power in a power outage. You got nothing to whine about. You know what I mean? It's only the rest of us, tens of thousands, that were out there screaming about it, and they were just like oblivious to the fact that they had no power, so they weren't really missing anything, right?
Yeah, it was only pockets. There were some areas that did the load shedding, and it wasn't even a full hour. Our power went off for 40 minutes, but people just lost their minds when I was reading on the social media and chat groups, and I'm like, come on, folks. It's an hour. It's 1 hour that we have to give back, and that's it. I don't understand if we're going on 4 months, okay, then you would probably get a grip load of folks still calling you. if we were on month 4.
Now, here's the thing. Here's why I disagree with you. And I am a great supporter of issues when GPA was trying to get it right. I knew I saw forward motion. I've watched this happen for the past 30 years, right? So I'm not immune to the fact that GPA has been struggling since we got here in 1994. And yes, I was part of load shedding all throughout different periods of the time that they were trying to up their generation. We put a lot of stock into celebrating the Ukuru power plant. That was a hard-fought battle. It took a lot of energy, took a lot of money, it took a lot of delays, it took a lot to get Ukuru power plant to where it is, and with the promise that load shedding would be a thing of the past. I mean, they were dealing with the stuff that's happening out in Cabras and Patti, but, Ukuru was the solid. Ukuru was a sure thing. And the only time that we've ever had a real problem with Ukuru was when they weren't done with the project and they ended up having to pay us back for the delay caused by Mewar and other obvious reasons. But when you come back and say that power demand exceeded generation capacity due to an Ukuru power plant gas turbine failing to return to service, I don't even know what that means. Honestly, in the world of power generation, somebody ran out of gas. I don't know what it means. And it wasn't like it was a dark, cloudy day for 4 days. I mean, it's solar power, right? So it's like, wow, we've used Ukuru as a reason why there's no electricity for thousands of people on a Saturday afternoon. And people obviously were using as much power because more people were getting on the grid. So clearly they were using more kilowattage to supply on a very hot day. I get that. I honestly do. I get it all. Mm-hmm. But Ukuru? Ukuru was our knight in shining armor. What do you mean Ukuru was the problem? What's a failure in the gas turbine? I don't even know what that means. You know what I mean? And I know what boiler tubes mean and how power is generated using, using the kind of gas and that they've been using. I understand all that generation. This was supposed to be like the next big thing that we weren't going to be. It wouldn't have been Ukuru that was going to cause it. So, maybe I'm ignorant too, and I hate that feeling. But I hate that feeling of knowing so much about how power is generated. I mean, I hate it. I love it. But in order to live on Guam, you better understand how it's generated, because then it just sort of placates the consumer. But I've got 7 people living in my house. Every air conditioner is on. I have guests off island. My whole family is here. And, hey, we're put out by a little power outage. I'm not worried about that. My power bill is exceeding my budget but that's my issue. That's not even, it's not like I'm not going to pay it. I'm just saying that because it also went up in July, this is people are going to, I don't want to think about power. I really don't. I don't want to think about paying the bill, and I don't want to think about generating. And Saturday it was like, dang, was it an inconvenience to me? Absolutely not. I was home for 20 minutes after this wedding ceremony, headed off to the reception. I got to the hotel and there was power. So was I put out? No, but I was irritated that this is what they're telling people, that Ukuru was the problem. That's what gets under my skin.
That's you out there with the picket sign. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't give them a pass on this. I mean, I'll fully understand it eventually, but I for right now, with what information was given to me on that day,
right,
I don't give them a pass on this, because I don't understand with and we've been very generous with GPA on explaining and over-explaining and mansplaining. I mean, we have heard everybody talking about it, and then then to get a rotating power schedule, it's like, come on, man. But anyway, they never had to get into the entire outage schedule, because they were able to, as soon as they put out the schedule, about a half hour later, the power went on to everybody. They
put out something that said, we might not be using the second load shedding.
Yeah, they were able to get it on quickly. The fact that it happened is the part that's irritating.
Right.
Well, and anyway,
nobody's perfect. We can't rely 100% on a lot of stuff. But you're right. The message was there, and the message wasn't messaging, so.
I wasn't making sense. Anyway, so
Yeah.
are you on your way up to work? You got your cat card and everything?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Talk about having to be locked out. But yes, got my cat card. We're all good. I got a board this morning, so
Oh.
got to be So it's kind of like a evaluation to officially give me one of my ICS position titles.
Oh, well, congratulations. You better, are you?
Well, not yet.
Oh.
The board is the board's at 9:00. So congratulate me after 10, and I'll message you. You'll be
Well,
off.
okay. All right. Congratulations. Well, you're fresh, right? Got all freshed up. You got to cheese out for those cameras.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure, for
All
sure. But anyways, I wanted to say I'm heading back up to Saipan, though, later this month. You remember Commander Christine Iggy Somar? She
Yes.
used to be the aide camp for
Yes.
the commandant.
Yeah, I
from
used to.
Saipan. Yeah.
I had an interview with her.
Yes,
Yes,
she did.
I did.
She's retiring.
Oh, wow. Okay. Already.
Yeah, so she's going to be the president of Mount Carmel for Saipan.
Well, okay. She's moving to higher ground. That's nice. Good for her. Congratulations to her on her retirement.
Yeah, I'll let her
How
know when I
exciting.
see her.
Yeah, how exciting. Well, you're not leaving any time this week or weekend, right? Just wanting to make sure.
I am locked on
Okay.
to a very special event coming up. So yes,
This
I will
weekend.
be there.
Okay, yeah. I
Yeah.
just got to make sure because I don't
I
have
am
a
making sure.
I don't
yes.
have a plan
I
B.
will make
All right.
sure I've got all. I'm bringing all my scapulars with me, so one of the priests or nuns can bless it.
You'll have a cache of priests that'll be able to do that. All right, girl. Thanks
Right
so
on.
much. Hey,
All right.
congratulations
you guys have a safe
on
morning
your
and
work.
happy pre-liberation.
Absolutely. Bottom of the that's a word you're just it was Dice who just coined that one. Happy pre-liberation. It's like we need to affix a reason why everybody's off of work today in the private in the government sector. It's a pre-liberation ramp up. The governor declared it a holiday last week. Well, I mean, just a day off. The holiday's actually tomorrow, but I think she's given everybody a little bit of extra day.
It's a nice little
It
treat.
feels good for folks to
nice.
have one more day to just enjoy their power because they weren't doing that last week. And
Very
then,
well deserved, guys.
absolutely, and in addition to that, the legislature, they were supposed to be done with this on Friday, but they're going to be done with it today. They're going to be taking the vote, and all sorts of people are coming out of the woodwork to blast the legislature right now. For what their budget is doing to some services on the chance that there will be a supplemental budget conversation later on. But the haggling over whether or not these big contractors coming in with upwards of $1 billion into investments in Guam wouldn't be dropping, not up to $1 billion, billions of dollars on this investment in Guam, can't pay about $1 billion in taxes to the government of Guam. That was tried, and it failed. And a lot of people are looking at the legislature handpicking different people by name during this whole exercise of us looking at these candidates that are sitting in the legislature and wondering whether or not they're doing the best job for the people of Guam. Depending on what side you're on, someone's going to feel it in this budget, and whoever you are. Watch carefully today as the vote will be taken. We can almost guarantee what that's going to look like. But if it isn't to the standard of the governor, she's going to veto it. So this is going to be a lockdown override proof bill, a veto proof bill. That they're going to be looking at today, so that they don't have to come back in 10 business days to do it all over again. Bottom of the hour now. We'll go ahead and take this break and come on back on the other side.
The road to Adelup is off and running. This time, we sit down with Republican candidate Speaker Frank Blass and Dr. Mary Okada. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 7th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a glimpse of Guam radio station.
Good day, everyone. Good morning. It's Mornings with Patti right here. This is the Wave 105 FM, streaming live and online at thewave105.com. Our studio lines are at 671-922-1051 or 1052. We're going to go ahead and hit the streets right now. This will be your first look at your traffic report. It is being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. You could schedule a test drive by calling 478-AUTO. Or if you'd like to look at our inventory, visit our website. That's going to be guamautospot.com. All right, traffic is light around the southern end of the islands. No delays getting around Humatec, Malesu, and Alahan, Malolo, as well as Talafofu, Windward Hills. Nice and smooth through Doña this morning, as well as our friends around Chalanpago and Ordot. No delays there. Hagåtña traffic is beginning to pick up. We got a little delay getting around Paseo this morning. That's going to be around Chamorro Village. Just a heads up over on that end. Getting on to East O'Brien Drive, that's going to be coming around Touray Cafe. We do have a little delay over on that end. Looking at Bank Pacific in Tamuning, as well as Jack in the Box. We got ourselves on both north as well as southbound. ITC intersection, you can expect some wait time on that end, as well as our friends getting in and out of the airport. That's going to be around Teton this morning. Aside from that, the roads are light this morning. Nothing to be too concerned about. However, it is a Liberation Day weekend. Let's go ahead and watch our speed limit. Keep our eyes on the roads. No texting and driving. And we should all be able to have ourselves a safe Monday morning. This is your traffic report here on the Wave 105 FM. It's all being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot and mobile gas stations.
When families feel safe, communities grow stronger. Senator Chris Duenas passed the Malik Act to put more officers on our streets and confront the meth crisis hurting too many of our people. He led efforts to expand affordable housing through the additional dwelling unit and advanced nitrate bills. And now he is authoring his second balanced budget that protect essential services while supporting private sector jobs. Steady leadership, real results. Re-elect Chris Duenas. He's focused, balanced, and ready.
I'm Chris Duenas, and I approve this message.
Hofade Guam, over the last 2 years, we have built strong relationships, opened new doors, and created real opportunities for our island. Those partnerships continue to grow stronger, and together, we are making meaningful progress for Guam. Early voting for 2026 primary elections begins July 9th and runs through July 25th
at the Westin Resort.
Tuesdays through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now is not the time to lose momentum. The foundation has been laid, the relationships have been built, and opportunities before Guam have never been greater. Your vote will help ensure we continue moving forward together. I humbly ask for your support and your vote. Let's keep building a stronger future for Guam. I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho, Treasurer.
Eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at SubwayPacific.com for pickup or delivery. Online ordering at SubwayPacific.com is powered by Good to Go. We deliver. At Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh.
Bank Pacific has a $100 gift for all recent high school and college graduates.
Okay, I'll bite. What is it?
Open a checking account with Bank Pacific, show us you just graduated, and bingo, we'll deposit an additional $100 into your account.
What about a Visa debit card?
Yep, Visa debit card, online and mobile banking, remote deposit capture, the works.
What about for existing customers who just graduated?
They get $100 too.
Great, count me in.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots. Conditions apply, member FDIC.
As a parent, you said you'd never give up the convertible.
Look, the band even has its own vacuum.
You said you'd never stop listening to your music.
Do your happy dance, do your happy dance, yeah.
You said you'd never schedule your life around a stuffed animal.
Nobody panic. Bun Bun is still at daycare.
You said you'd never give in to demands.
2 kids' meals. And a chocolate shake.
And never put them in harm's way.
I'll be right back, little man. Just gonna pop in the store for diapers.
But never happens. And no amount of time is okay to leave your child in a car by themselves.
Long line today.
Temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you every time you park the car. Stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Many of our U.S. veterans and service members face challenges: mental health struggles, housing obstacles, employment, food insecurity, and social isolation, to name just a few. I'm Bob Woodruff. My family and I started the Bob Woodruff Foundation in 2006 after I sustained a life-threatening injury while reporting from Iraq. Our service members had my back that day, and we need to have theirs now more than ever. At the Bob Woodward Foundation, we raise awareness about the tough challenges veterans and military families face and invest in solutions to help support them in the next chapter of their lives. And with one solution comes the next. We solve a housing situation, we increase employment opportunities. We solve employment problems, we address food insecurity. We solve food insecurity, we impact physical and mental health issues. Learn more about our work at bobwooderfoundation.org/success.
My name is Erica, and my son Kason is a patient at Shriners Children. My oldest called me and said Kason got burnt. The trauma doctor came in and said he needs to go to Shriners.
His injury was a big injury, and I think a testament to the care that we provide. He's fully functional. He's riding his dirt bike, doing all of the things that you would want him to do.
We're just so thankful that Kason is still here. Go online right now to loveshriners.org.
We are all for first-time guests and longtime friends. All for First Light and Starlight. For road trips and trail runs. All for mountaintops and monuments. River bends and battlefields. We're all for showing up and giving back. To protect, to preserve, to pass it on. All parks depend on us. And we're all for parks. Join us at nationalparks.org/allforparks.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. Let their story unfold and gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. Hire skills first. Learn why at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
A message from Joshua Jackson, actor and Fair Volunteer Ambassador.
Food allergy is a serious, life-threatening disease that impacts over 33 million Americans. When your immune system sees certain food proteins as a threat, every bite matters. But here's the good news. There have been advancements in the treatment of food allergies, and with one voice, we can create better awareness. Because in the FAIR community, the disease doesn't own us. We own our journey. Talk to an allergist to understand your options. Visit foodallergy.org/empower to learn more.
From Jigo to Molesso, if Guam's talking about it, you'll hear it on Wave 105.
It's like they're going to vote on a budget today, and the governor may be getting another recess out of this special session that she's calling mostly emergency session for funding that hasn't been spent for fiscal 2026. That's supposed to go underway at 9 o'clock this morning. That feels like a recess. I don't know. They've done it twice already. They can't deal with it because they're still dealing with the budget, and they're going to vote on the budget today. So we'll see with that. A couple things happening at the legislature that we're really going to want to work at. But over the weekend...
Okay.
First of all, Dice and I are talking about important things right now.
We're getting there. We're having our pre-liberation here.
I did bring you a banana muffin that was made by the very hands of Sandy Yao.
I had that this morning.
Oh, yeah.
I swear I did.
This was homemade.
Great
though.
minds think alike. It wasn't homemade. It wasn't homemade.
Yeah, she makes the best. Her and Brian make the best banana bread, and she came by with muffin. Oh, I eat that one. The banana nut muffin, I eat that one too.
It's so good. Yeah, I was like, hey.
It's hard to screw up those things, but what I did was I heated it up in the microwave.
Does it taste better that way?
Yeah, I like it warm. So but I also like it lathered with butter. But I have to choose my vices. So do you want it or just?
All right.
You can.
And
okay.
as we continue to order.
We're sitting here just listen.
We continue to order here.
Cerise made dinner last night, and we had an early one because we were going to the movies.
Okay.
So I had a portion of it, and I knew I was going to be hungry because it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
Or 6 o'clock or something like that.
Got it.
Oh, the movie was in the living room.
What did you guys watch? Oh, in the living room.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought the theaters.
It was like there was
okay.
no, because
Not the theaters.
line up in your bahakis. That was the plan. Tia Reese is cooking dinner, and then we were watching a movie. So come with your best bahaki outfit, right? So we were sitting there like natives that have never had food or seen a movie before. We were just like hair on top. Nobody had makeup on. It was pretty ugly, and so she made this version of Hamburger Helper, but like her stuff, foo bougie. Okay, that's comfort food.
Okay,
with garlic bread and all that stuff. Then so then I ate one portion of it, thinking that there would be hot dogs and popcorn during the movie.
Okay,
no one
that
committed to it.
That wasn't happening.
It didn't happen.
No nachos.
So I went to bed.
Licorice. Come on,
I went to
guys.
bed hungry 5 hours later. So
No
anyway,
milk
so this
duds?
morning I walk up. No, nothing. We'll try again tonight. But
Right on.
I actually literally what we did was I was pretty hungry, but it wasn't a movie that you could. If anybody had to go to the bathroom, Sean would pause the movie.
Oh, that kind. Okay.
Because you had to stick with it. If not, you'd get lost.
Don't miss it. Yeah.
And Sean, every once in a while, at one big point in the movie, it must have been less than halfway, he goes, "Mom!" And I go, "What?" And he goes, "Just making sure you're awake." Because I'm the first down. Well, Jesse was on the floor with a pillow and cushioning, and we thought he was out for the count, but we all kind of see because it was Obsession.
Obsession. Okay.
That movie.
Patty, you watched that movie like 6 times now.
I know. I've been
why
wanting
are
to
we
watch
doing
it.
this?
No, I
It's like,
wanted to
what
watch
we
it. We never watched it.
Okay.
So it was on whatever the channel it was on.
Right. Okay.
Not
there. All right. Okay. So Obsession. How about the Odyssey? Have you seen the Odyssey?
Well, that would be a pirated version of a movie if I watched that at home. Okay. People do that. I'll get the link from you later.
You gotta watch it. No, it's at the movie theaters. It's about 3 hours.
I know.
I know it's going to take about 3
I'm
hours
saying in the comfort of one's home. There's we
Oh, that copy. I
said,
can. I know people, and it's a holiday, not a federal holiday, but that's okay. Well, I can make a risk. I can send you a link, and you can watch the Odyssey at home. Yeah, you should watch it. It's really good.
Well, I'm not good. Now that you put me in the way of the FBI coming to my house for pirating a movie,
busy.
I don't want.
They're getting liberated. They're occupied right now.
Did you watch Obsession?
No, I haven't. But you told me it's gonna be that movie. But then I was like, this is like one of those psycho chicks.
Yeah, first she was a psycho chick.
I don't want to watch psycho chicks.
No, at one point, because I was sitting next to Sean on the couch, I was kind of stretched out, and he was sitting straight up, and I had my feet like on his legs, right?
Okay.
And there was this one point where it was one of those ish moments. He's like, "Oh, ish," because she came out of nowhere, kind of thing, and I was like, I don't know. See, these guys, tell me what this means.
All right, go.
It's a generational thing.
It's a generational thing. Obsession.
Okay, because...
Mecky Pfeiffer. Okay, I like him.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, hold on. That's the 2019 version. Keep going.
I don't even know who's in it because none of those names I recognize.
All right, okay, all right. But anyways, Obsession.
Okay, this is a generational thing. When I watched Exorcist in 1977, it scared me straight into my religion.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Got it. Okay.
And so I was like, I became born again because it was like, dear God, you don't want to be on the devil's side of all of this, right? Okay. So we were all kind of scared straight about going to mass, right? Or reinvesting in your religion so that doesn't happen to you being possessed by the devil.
I got you.
They watched Obsession last night, and you thought that they were losing their minds. They were jumpy. I was already predicting, she's coming through the window. And they're like, "Mom!" I'm like, "She's coming through the window." We don't, and then they said, it's got to be his window or her window. She's coming through the window.
Coming through the window. Okay.
And I closed my eyes to take a nap, and all I heard was, "Ish!" And she came through the window.
She came through the window.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. And so at the end of it, I go, okay. I said, my first review when the credits were on, I said, well, that was underwhelming. I feel like I got my head bit off by the generation below me because they were like, "Mom, what? That was freaky." And people of that age group were saying it was the scariest movie of the season.
I can't watch it.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm good.
You perfect.
Man.
I think that you. I don't know if
Got
you
a
watched
psycho
it.
chick obsessed with you.
Yeah, well, Dice has been there, done that. She can write a couple movies on her own.
That's like, not again. Not another one.
Yeah, upset.
No. Okay. It looks good though. All right. Okay. All right. So.
Yeah, it was like, remember the movie Big?
Yes.
Remember how he goes to the fair, New Jersey,
And he made that little wish.
Yeah, I made that
right.
little wish, and it stuck with him. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she went to the boardwalk. He went to the boardwalk and got one of those, things that you could make a wish, and then it came true, and it doesn't end until you die.
I'm good. Yeah, I'll pass. That's
It really was. It was suspenseful, but it wasn't scary. I went into my bedroom,
Right. It's like one
of
of
course,
those.
said my night prayers and turned off the light, and I slept very well. They were still out there consoling each other, and who's going to go into whose room first.
This is one of those careful what you wish for type films.
Yeah, exactly.
Watch what
Yeah,
you
exactly.
wish for. Be careful what you wish for.
Excuse me.
Careful what you wish for.
Well, yeah,
'Cause
if
you
you're
got
desperate.
Charlize Theron on steroids.
It
That's
was a
not
lot.
what you wanted. Bless you.
Yeah,
That's
thank
not
you.
what you
It
were
was a
going
lot.
for.
But I think
Obsession.
I was into it because first of
Okay.
all, I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it in the movie theater because I kind of wanted to feel what it felt like to be scared in this generation, right? Okay. I think the sound effects might have been a thing. We fixed the audio box so that it had surround sound, so it was pretty loud in my living room. So the sound effects are everything when it comes to movies. Like you can't just watch that on a one speaker, you have to have the whole sound. Excuse me.
We all want to run for cover. It's like we
But
all
there's
wanna
something
run.
about there being strength in numbers, right?
Yes.
I had Sean at my legs. I had Riley and Cerise on the floor, up against the couch. I had Tia laying flat on another couch. I had her husband on the ground. Erica's propped up right next to me, and we were both sitting between the mother. Mary was the statue was sitting right next to us, so I felt pretty secure.
Okay, yeah,
in
you're
my
good.
choices for seating. So I think that there's strength in the numbers when it's a scary movie. You've got everybody around you, and we're all like, feeling the same thing. It was, if anything, as the owner of this umbrella company, when you have all of the people that you love most in the world, it was less about the movie than it was taking pictures or in my mind of what this felt like to have all your children or your sisters or your brother, all of your family, the people you love most in the world, sitting literally, at home.
Right. Your home is complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Home is complete.
Home is
So,
complete.
the movie was like, nothing can beat my feelings right now. You can't bring me down, you
Right.
psycho girl.
Right.
I am at the height of my happiness at the moment.
There
But
you go.
anyway, so over the weekend, a couple of other things happened. They did had a news release over the weekend, and it was for the arrest of 4 guys. And apparently, they said the common thread here was drugs. And trying to understand the magistrate's complaint that these guys broke into a house and they killed a 72-year-old man over a generator. And I think that Jolene Tovez called it a legitimate generator, meaning that it was purchased and somebody was after that. I still trying to sort out the pieces, but either way, by the quick work of the Guam Police Department, they were able to investigate this, see footage from home cameras, and pinpoint who these people were. And they're all, there's $1 million bail that's out, that Doug Moylan put $1 million, requesting $1 million bail for these guys, or this one guy, Nauta, to get out. And I got to say, I don't agree with a lot of things. In fact, I don't agree with many things, if not all things that Doug Moylan does.
So
but
they killed a man for a generator? Is that
yeah,
what
that
you're
was
saying?
kind of what it was about, and not only killed him, but severely beat another person who's still in the hospital recovering, but was able to at least give police some details about the attack, and then some of it was also captured on their surveillance cameras, on their video. And that must have been really tough to watch, but it's just like watching the grainy black and white footage of a commission of a crime is really tough. But GPD was on it, and Acting Police Chief Joe Carbolito said complimented, the investigation. but that, a swift capture of something, and especially when you're talking about that many people, is a big deal. Now it's up to the Attorney General's office and to do their due diligence by prosecuting, taking this to trial and winning, because he's had a hard time doing that lately. And he's had an exodus of people that have left as prosecutors in his office. But nothing stings more than, I think, than Christine Tenorio. She has been his ace, one of his ace prosecutors for years. And she's been there through thick and thin, and she's been there through a number of attorneys general. And so her departure from there, her departure from there sent a really strong signal that there's something afoot, right? We've known this. We've got plenty of evidence to show that there are things that are happening in that office. Curtis Vandeveld, everybody was producing a letter of his resignation. He actually, in a video before the Supreme Court, an appearance before the Supreme Court earlier this month or last month, informed the court that his time there was, he may not be back for the next hearing. And he did say in the video, and I think Paulie played it, I sent it to Paulie, of this one section where Curtis Vandeveld was speaking to the bench, where he said, I may not be here because it looks like he is going to, resign from his position at the Attorney General's office in favor of serving the clients that he currently has. So that wasn't new news. I think the bar knew it. Definitely all of the attorneys knew it, because it was forwarded many times to me by a number of attorneys. But I didn't know about Christine Tenorio, because I thought that once she goes, that whole lot is in trouble. And he's lost some significant cases, and just several just in this past week. One of them was Curtis Vandeveld's case. And so he's out there, he's out there still trying to push through these prosecutions, and it's coming harder and harder with the more people that he loses and the reputation that he has. So interesting. That'll be a thing. So, that's happening in the Attorney General's front. I already talked about the legislature. We got a release from James Moylan's office yesterday, or day before yesterday, whatever. This weekend he was working, and he submitted a release about FEMA offering $751,000 to the Department of Education to fix the schools that were damaged 3 typhoons ago in Maywar. And so he didn't list what schools there were, but they were talking about, but there's like a lot of exterior work to be done, some interior infrastructure to be had. Okay. But he didn't list what schools there were. And I'm finding out that some of these schools are actually disqualified from that list because they don't have enough documentation. We'll approach that coming up in just a few minutes, but right now we got to take a break. Top of the hour break here. Dice is still going to give you some of that traffic, which is happening. There is traffic today. I mean, the roads are still busy because people are moving around. It's a government of Guam holiday, so none of these employees, unless they're essential, are out there trying to make their way somewhere. But even if there are people are out there that are just doing stuff because it's a day off, so enjoy that. It's 7 o'clock now, KGUM-FM in Dedido, Guam.
When Guam is not heard in Washington, our families pay the price. We pay it in higher costs, in housing that feels out of reach, in food assistance put at risk, in our Manamco and neighbors with disabilities still waiting for benefits they've earned. Mary Camacho Torres is running to change that. She'll fight to lower costs, deliver fairness for our veterans and downwind communities, and make sure Guam finally has a voice that's heard. This election, vote Mary Camacho Torres for Congress. Number 1 on the ballot.
I'm Mary Camacho Torres, and I approve this message.
Paid for by the Torres for Congress Committee.
Hungry and need gas? Mobile's got you covered. Now through July 31st, Mobile Smiles app members can enjoy a free 6-inch Subway sandwich with every minimum fill-up of $30 gas at any Guam mobile station. Available exclusively on the mobile app. It's an easy summer win. Fuel up, open the app, and enjoy the rewards. Not a member yet? Pick up a Mobile Smiles card at any mobile location and register today. Mobile and Subway, a great deal for the summer. See store for details. Half a day, Guam. Good morning, guys. Welcome to Mornings with Patti right here on the Wave 105 FM, streaming online at thewave105.com, as well as our YouTube channel. That's Wave 105.1 FM Guam. And the show this morning is being brought to you by our friends at Subway, where you can eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at subwaypacific.com for pickup at your convenience or for delivery right at your doorstep. Online ordering at subwaypacific.com is powered by Good to Go. We deliver at Subway. You gotta refresh to be fresh. Bank Pacific, where others place branches, we place roots. Visit bankpacific.com today. GTA, we start with you. Mobile gas stations, turn every fuel stop into rewards with Mobile Smiles. Download the app today for exclusive offers and faster rewards at the pump. Take Care Insurance Company, our island, your health plan. Triple J Auto Group, celebrate liberation with Triple J Ford's Liberation Celebration. Prices below dealer's cost, thousands off on retail and F-150 starting as low as $39,995. Visit Triple J today. Customers first. The Agana Shopping Center. Shop, dine, and relax at the Agana Shopping Center. Your destination for food, fun, and local favorites all year long. Pat's Tinting and Detailing for all your special interior cleaning. Call 483-7522. Code 1 Store is your tactical shop for public safety and everyday gear, serving Guam since 1999. Shop 511 Tactical and Condor Outdoor plus steel toe footwear. Stop by Code 1 Store today. And Chili's Grill and Bar at Chili's. More life, great food, and memories happen here. Good morning, Guam, and welcome back. It's Mornings with Patti right here on the Wave 105 FM. Our studio lines are at 671-922-1051 or 1052.
Military officer, law enforcer, policymaker. Service has been the cornerstone of Congressman James Moylan's life. James Moylan swore to protect America as an officer in the United States Army. As a parole officer, James worked with families affected by substance abuse and domestic violence. He was elected to the 35th and 36th Guam legislatures, and now James Moylan represents Guam's needs in our nation's capital as a member of the United States Congress. Congressman Moylan has fought for more than $3 billion for Guam, including almost $1 billion in military construction and roads, and law enforcement and first responder vehicles and equipment. Moylan is also working vigorously on standing up a regional office right here on Guam, a game changer for our 25,000 plus veterans, 40 years and 4 oaths. Dedicated, resilient, trustworthy, and proven. That's James Moylan. Re-elect James Moylan for Congress. Moylan works.
I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho, Treasurer.
Half a day, everyone. Good morning, Guam. Let's go ahead and hit the streets right now for your second look at your traffic report, brought to you by our friends at Guam Auto Spot. Schedule a test drive. All you got to do is give us a call at 478-AUTO, or if you'd like to look at our inventory, you may also visit our website if you head to guamautospot.com. All right, friends, let's see what we got brewing on the streets of Guam. It looks like the south side traffic is light, moving nicely around PD this morning. No delays getting around Hagåtña, nice and smooth through there. Couple of pockets, you're going to find that along Route 8. That's going to be in the Mongmong to Mighty area. Just prepare yourselves over on that back end, as well as Route 16. It looks like we got a little delay outside Department of Revenue and Taxation. But again, Guam traffic is quite light this morning. Let's just continue to keep our eyes on the roads, not on the phones. It is a Liberation Day holiday, so let's watch our speed limit, Guam. Make sure that your seatbelts are fastened, and remember, Guam, seatbelts are sexy. It's your traffic report right here on the Wave 105 FM, and it's all being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot.
When Guam is not heard in Washington, our families pay the price. We pay it in higher costs, in housing that feels out of reach, in food assistance put at risk, in our Manamco and neighbors with disabilities still waiting for benefits they've earned. Mary Camacho Torres is running to change that. She'll fight to lower costs, deliver fairness for our veterans and downwind communities, and make sure Guam finally has a voice that's heard. This election, vote Mary Camacho Torres for Congress, #1 on the ballot.
I'm Mary Camacho Torres, and I approve this message.
Paid for by the Tours for Congress Committee.
Hungry and need gas? Mobile's got you covered. Now through July 31st, Mobile Smiles app members can enjoy a free 6-inch Subway sandwich with every minimum fill-up of $30 gas at any Guam mobile station. Available exclusively on the mobile app. It's an easy summer win. Fuel up, open the app, and enjoy the rewards. Not a member yet? Pick up a Mobile Smiles card at any mobile location and register today. Mobile and Subway, a great deal for the summer. See store for details.
Military officer, law enforcer, policymaker. Service has been the cornerstone of Congressman James Moylan's life. James Moylan swore to protect America as an officer in the United States Army. As a parole officer, James worked with families affected by substance abuse and domestic violence. He was elected to the 35th and 36th Guam legislatures, and now James Moylan represents Guam's needs in our nation's capital as a member of the United States Congress. Congressman Moylan has fought for more than $3 billion for Guam, including almost $1 billion in military construction and roads, and law enforcement and first responder vehicles and equipment. Moylan is also working vigorously on standing up a regional office right here on Guam, a game changer for our 25,000 plus veterans, 40 years and 4 oaths. Dedicated, resilient, trustworthy, and proven. That's James Moylan. Re-elect James Moylan for Congress. Moylan works.
I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho,
The
Treasurer.
road to Adelup is set. This time, we sit down with Democrat candidates Senator Joe San Agustin and former Senator Dwayne San Nicolas. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 8th on the Wave 105 YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
Our critically injured veterans and first responders are left behind every day because of inadequate wheelchairs. That's why Wheelchairs for Warriors is on a mission to serve America's heroes across the nation and provide them with custom-fit wheelchairs tailored to fit their needs, to ensure they're rejoining their lives at the highest level of independent mobility and function possible. From lightweight daily use chairs or adaptive sports chairs to all-terrain wheelchairs to get these warriors outdoors. Wheelchairs for Warriors serves those who've served us. To join their mission, visit their website at wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
It all connects. The girl who walks for hours to bring home the family's water, the school she can't attend most days, the breakfast she didn't have, the rain that hasn't fallen in months, the danger around the next bend, her little brother's belly laugh, her mother's hug, her dreams of being a teacher, an engineer, the mayor. All the reasons life is both so hard and so beautiful. It all connects. But so do we, for children's sakes. At Child Fund, we connect through everything we do, together, so every child can grow up healthy, educated, and safe. Because we need each other. Learn more at childfund.org.
As a parent, you said you'd never give up the convertible.
Look, the van even has its own vacuum.
You said you'd never stop listening to your music.
Do your happy dance, do your happy dance, yeah.
You said you'd never schedule your life around a stuffed animal.
Nobody panic. Bun Bun is still at daycare.
You said you'd never give in to demands.
2 kids' meals and a chocolate shake.
And never put them in harm's way.
I'll be right back, little man. Just gonna pop in the store for diapers.
But never happens. And no amount of time is okay to leave your child in a car by themselves.
Long line today.
Temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you every time you park the car. Stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Many of our U.S. veterans and service members face challenges: mental health struggles, housing obstacles, employment, food insecurity, and social isolation, to name just a few. I'm Bob Woodruff. My family and I started the Bob Woodruff Foundation in 2006 after I sustained a life-threatening injury while reporting from Iraq. Our service members had my back that day, and we need to have theirs now more than ever. At the Bob Woodruff Foundation, we raise awareness about the tough challenges veterans and military families face and invest in solutions to help support them in the next chapter of their lives. And with one solution comes the next. We solve a housing situation. We increase employment opportunities. We solve employment problems. We address food insecurity. We solve food insecurity. We impact physical and mental health issues. Learn more about our work at bobwooderfoundation.org/success.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. Let their story unfold and gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. Hire skills first. Learn why at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
Oh 5.1 The Wave is the talk of Guam. Start your morning with confidence right here on Mornings with Patti.
Who's that? Oh wait, that's me. Reflection so on fleek. I'm it, that's all I need. La-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Top check, I'm good, I'm golden. I got that groove unfolding. Hot beat so smooth, I'm rolling. La-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I got no stress. Sunshine in my pocket, good mood's what I'm rocking. I'm feeling like ooh, 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 ooh. Rhythm in my soul, 24 karat gold.
So, last week when we left you, everybody was freaking out about going to Taco Bell. I feel bad.
Why?
Well, because of the Taylor Farms lettuce that they
Okay.
sourced out to be the reason.
I crushed 7 tacos this weekend.
Yeah, I was like, did you eat a Taco Bell though?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know, man.
I
Payless
think
did
Guam,
send
I
it.
like to say Guam is safe.
I do too. And just for good measure, Kathy Calvo sent me a note the other day saying they just removed all their Taylor Farm stuff.
Okay.
I went to the commissary though on Friday afternoon. And yeah, we were looking for lettuce, but they had all the Taylor Farm stuff out there.
For sure.
Spinach, the kale, the packaged lettuce, and they didn't remove anything off their shelves.
That's why I don't like Thai foods, man. All the goods are always gone, man. You know, when you go like to the local markets where it's always fresher, you know what I mean? The Dedido markets, it's like, oh, we can't get fresh vegetables. We got to get processed food this weekend. So.
Yeah. Well, you know what the did you see what the memes were on social media?
I like getting my vegetables from like the Taitano farm. You know, I'm on
Not
TV.
not the Taylor Farm, the Taitano Farm.
The Taitano farm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I like it local and fresh. But anyways, as you were.
There were these memes that were on social media, and they were actually really funny. This one girl is sitting there with this little basket of blueberries, and she shoves one in her mouth, and she said, "That's an unwashed blueberry." And she was just talking about how she lives dangerously. It was so dang funny. And then there was another one. She goes, "Me shopping for lettuce because I need to lose 15 pounds." And it was mostly women who were saying, I need to relieve myself of hopefully 15 pounds of the wet stuff in order to get down to my ideal weight. But people were making fun of it. So I was telling all my friends in Southwest Michigan, don't go to Taco Bell. And they're like, don't go where? Taco Bell, don't do Taco Bell. But it was pretty funny. I mean, and it's not funny because, what'd you guys call it? It's funny because it's funny. Because apparently having the runs is a hilarious thing. Of all of the body functions, that's the one that people laugh at. There's nothing more vulnerable to be than in that particular situation. It's true. I mean, of all of the other ailments that one has, Flatulation might be the other one because you don't know when that's happening. You could just be walking along and all of a sudden you
Like,
feel
you can't go nowhere. Your booty has a faucet.
this
and you
is
just
true,
can't turn it
and you
off.
can't turn it off. Like you're like in the event, there's no waiting. You know what I mean? And the worst part of it all is that it could happen anywhere. It could happen anywhere. That you just you don't care that if you have to pull over on the side of the road on a freeway. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. I think that, and because it's out of our control, then it makes us far more vulnerable. And I think that what makes people laugh is that, yeah, you can't. It's not like you can fake that one.
I know, out on like a Tinder date. It's like, you know what? I need the restroom. I'll be right back.
I need the restroom every 15 minutes, and that's a whole nother.
It's like,
you're on a Tinder date.
Sorry, red flag number 1. Dang, you got to go again. Red flag number 2.
The Tinder date, you're going to get the review. You're going to get the review at the end of the night.
Oh my gosh. Or hold on. I got in my algorithm, are women giving tours of their houses while their husbands are in the restroom?
Oh, that one's a good one. They go in while the husband is sitting on the toilet, and it's the look on their face when they're walking out. Here's the wall. It is so funny. That is so funny. But there's another vulnerable position.
Like, I'm in here.
No, the other one is that's really funny. The other one is changing around your significant other, and you say, "Can you do me a favor? Can you just step outside while I change?" And the guy was holding a baby at the time, a brand new baby. And she goes, "Can you just step outside and can you change?" He's like, "What? Can you step outside so I can change?" And he goes, "Why?" He goes, "Because I just don't want you to see me." He goes, "I just saw a human being come out of you. I think I'm okay." It was really funny. Those are great ones.
Yeah, it's too funny. Or you got the parents waking up their kids. Let me wake up my child. How my child wakes me up every morning.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, that's
Oh my God, that poor kid. Like, what is my parents doing? What are you doing? Why are you?
Oh my God, that is so funny. Yeah, those are the good ones. I pulled one on a retired firefighter that I know.
Right on,
If you know, you know the double L.
For sure.
I was pretending I was talking to Carlotta on the phone, and she was telling me that she had a small fire breaking out in her kitchen.
Oh my God.
And so he wasn't looking at me, but he was kind of looking at the television, and you could hear him because I said fire, right? So you can hear him kind of spark up, but he didn't react. He just sat there.
Right.
And I said, what do you mean a fire? And I go, "What kind of fire?" And then she goes, and then I said, you were frying lumpia, and the oil splattered on the ground and caught fire. And I go, I said, "What do you mean? What do you do? Why are you asking me?" And he's sitting over there listening, like, when is she going to say something, right? And I said, "Pour water on it."
It's an oil
And that was
fire.
the only time. But he was cool.
Wow.
He was cool. And he goes, "You don't pour no damn water on an oil fire." And then I kept making it worse. I'm like, "It splattered back on your leg? Oh my God, call the ambulance." And he was still cool. He was really cool. And he's like, "You're giving her bad advice," right? And just still watching it, never even taking his eyes off the TV. It was the funniest thing, I tell you. And then in the end, I hung up the phone. And I thought that he was going to commandeer the situation. Like, "Give me the phone. I'll tell her what to do. Call the fire department. Why are you giving her this advice?" He said nothing, kind of looked at me and goes, "That wasn't good advice."
No, not
I go,
at
"You would
all.
let somebody burn to death
the worst.
on not good advice?"
Yeah, not to eavesdrop, but yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Not to
It kind of minded it, and it kind of bothered me. I was like, my friend has a fire in her apartment, and you're just saying that's not good advice. Well, tell me what you really feel, sir.
It's like,
Anyway.
look, I'm a fireman. I specialize.
Yeah, I specialize in these things. I was a firefighter for 35 years. No, I was like, wow.
That's good.
Apparently, you're retired. That fires don't mean anything to you,
That
but it
is funny.
was a moment.
That's too funny.
Okay.
I cannot. I'm done.
Yeah, I am done.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right. So we're back. We are again.
Liberation Parade. Don't forget. Liberation Parade in Agana. I'll help you. Guam's biggest mini parade fireworks show is at 7 o'clock. Espinal Avenue in Haggadah. You're welcome. That's all.
Oh, okay. Well, somebody
Okay.
actually, Mark Cruz
You got
actually
it?
sent me
You got
something.
that?
He gave
Okay.
me the whole gamut.
Yeah.
So last night they had the regular Tumon market, right? That wasn't necessarily for liberation, but today there is a U.S. Marine Corps Forces performance.
Forces performance.
Yes, that's
Okay.
happening at the Celebrate Liberation Day with live music by the U.S. Corps Forces Pacific
Okay.
at Micronesia Mall Center Court,
Nice.
3 p.m. today.
Oh, the mall was busy this weekend.
Well, everybody's picking up their emergency EBTs.
No, Patty.
I mean, SNAP.
Patty, it's clutch basketball. No one was thinking about EBT. It was a basketball. Patty!
I know, but they were also picking up food stamps.
like,
Emergency EBT. No, the ball was crazy because there were so many. Okay.
And they were doing that too, but it was a basketball turn.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I just saw that a lot of people went to go pick up that it was crowded there.
I'm about to. Who went, man? I gotta send them.
People who are eligible. We're not eligible.
I gotta send
We
them
have
my
to be on the
grocery list.
program, and we're not on the program.
We're not on it. We're not on it. That's okay. Cusney, we gave him a 9 out of 10. That's your fault. That's your fault. We would get some disaster. Everyone, we're not getting disaster
We're not.
assistance.
People like you and I are not
We're
going to
not
get the
getting any
disaster
disaster
assistance.
assistance. We got
And there are people who are screaming about what's in it for the middle class. And
because Bank of Guam is helping with some finances. They're doing some
I-
typhoon something.
are
with
they
Bank
doing
of-
special loans or are they doing deferment? Because some people are doing deferment.
Gosh, I don't want to say something to that nature at Bank of Guam. So thank you, Bank of Guam. That's why it's the People's Bank. Thank you. Looking
Okay.
out for the people.
Well done.
We're all about that.
Rick!
Uh-oh.
Dice just did a free Bank of Guam commercial.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I did not. I didn't. I just said that they're helping people.
Felt
Patty,
it.
we gotta help
Heard
some
it.
people. We're trying to help people.
So tomorrow, which is Liberation
struggling.
Day, is
Okay.
a Mass for Peace. That will be at the Gannett Cathedral Basilica. Annual Mass dedicated to memorializing victims and survivors of World War II. That is at 10 a.m.
Basilica Agana.
Yes.
Okay.
And then at noon after that, the Mayor's Council of Guam Unified Memorial Ceremony, which will also be hosted by the Mayor's Council of Guam. That's just a ceremony at the Cathedral Basilica at 12 noon.
Okay.
I don't believe that's Mass. And then the Haggadah City Block Party.
That's
in
the
lieu,
one.
yeah, in lieu of a parade. It was the businesses. I think one of them was Pono Grill. That was led by Pono Grill. They just said, I mean, at least that's where the first one I saw. They said, hey, I'm just going to get a bunch of businesses together and we're just going to have a block party. So that's going to be on the streets of Agana with local vendors, entertainment, food trucks.
Yes, food trucks. They got the food
And that's going to
trucks.
happen at 12 noon until 9 tomorrow night.
Yes.
And then there's an
Fireworks.
exhibit at 2 o'clock until 8 at the Dusit Tani, at the Dusit Place, in Tumon. That is a powerful storytelling an exhibit full of and Chamorro culture happening at Dusit Place. And that's Manny Chrysostome, who will be our guest here in just a little over a half hour.
Okay.
Manny Chrysostome was coming in with Rob Perez and Judge Johnny Gogo.
Okay.
You remember him. He offered you two of his 49ers season
Got it.
tickets.
Okay.
Remember
Okay,
his
got it.
season tickets to the 49ers?
Okay.
And he said, if you ever are in the Bay Area,
Right on.
give me a call. And I
Okay.
had a cell phone number. And you let him know I'm coming into town. I want to watch a 49ers home game. And he said he will give you 2 tickets.
Got it. Remember, and they're doing storytelling today or tomorrow.
That will happen tomorrow at
Storytelling
Dusit
tomorrow.
Place.
Okay.
At the photography exhibit by Manny Chrysostome. Well, Pulitzer Prize
Love it.
winner, by the
Love
way.
it. Love it.
And then the wagon parade takes place at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon until 6. Build your own wagon and join National Park Service's mini parade of Assenby at Assenby Beach Park in celebration of Guam's 82 annual liberation. And then the Tumon Night Market Liberation Day version is happening tomorrow from 5 to 9. That's the Tumon Night Market. They've added another one.
Yay! We got
tomorrow.
a lot to do.
Yeah, so end your Liberation Day with the GVB's at Tumon Sands Plaza with great local food, local vendors, incredible entertainment, and fireworks. Now, this is the Tumon Night Market that they say is at Tumon Plaza. Tumon Sands Plaza.
Tumon Sands Plaza. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And then fireworks. They will have fireworks in Haggadah courtesy of GVB at 721. Get it? 721.
721. No.
July 21st.
Got it. Okay. 721.
721.
Okay. Nice.
You remember 420, but you don't remember 721.
We got different
gotcha.
fireworks at 420.
It's okay. Some things are. Yeah. All right. So that's it again. In Tumon, catch the fireworks display, Tumon Bay, and that starts at 9 p.m.
9 o'clock. Yes!
So, I mean, what are you doing tomorrow?
Everything.
Apparently, you jump from one thing to another, starting with Mass at 10 o'clock and take it all the way to Tumon at 9 p.m.
Catch me outside.
Yeah.
Let's go, guys.
Yeah.
Come on, that's going to be
You
fun.
know who won't have fireworks?
Uh-oh. Who doesn't have fireworks?
Whoever tried to bring it in with a GPA
That's too funny.
bucket truck.
Stop. Stop. They ain't got fireworks.
Somebody ought to give him a little.
That's okay. There's... Dang it.
Well, yeah, there's the fireworks displays that are happening.
Yeah, there's the fireworks display. That's happening too, so you're good.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you can still get some from so-and-so's house.
Oh, yeah, look around.
I'm like, hey, they got fireworks at their house.
Oh, okay. Biba Guam. Thanks, Yvette. July 21st, all day at California Pizza Kitchen. 1 day only, $12 pizzas.
She giving free advertising to California Pizza.
Yeah, well, Yvette, the McDonald family loves their California Pizza Kitchen.
Do they got some money to advertise? They gonna have to pay for that. They got to pay for that shout out.
Okay, and know what I said about the free pizza? $12 pizzas at CPK.
CPK. All right, Liberation.
All day
$12.
tomorrow. Yeah.
$12. Okay, I'm mad at that.
Not mad at that either.
Okay.
That California crust, the cauliflower crust is the one.
I love it. I'm with that.
That's the one I'm
with
with.
the feta cheese. Yum.
Oh,
I
ew.
crushed that. What?
Now, you know what? We had a little impromptu emergency pizza party the other night on Friday night. I invited my niece and her kids over because Tia hadn't seen the baby and they wanted them to spend some time together. And I was like, oh, let's do pizza. And then I realized I was at the commissary. And I said to Tia, go buy everything. That way we don't have to order it.
Right.
And you can't order like 8 pizzas and then expect everybody to eat it. Some of these frozen pizzas are really good.
They are. Oh.
They're real, and I said we could even add things, get like cheese pizzas, and we can add whatever we want. We didn't have to add anything. Some of them actually didn't even taste like they were frozen pizzas. I'm not mad at that. I think the most expensive one was like $6 or $5 or something.
I think they finally got the recipe for frozen pizzas right.
I think so too.
Y'all finally got it right.
I didn't. We bought several different versions. Different companies. Some of them I've never even heard of, but that's the commissary. You can find stuff up there that you didn't.
Fire.
Yeah, and they were pretty good. I was surprised. We didn't even eat 8 pizzas, but. Nonetheless, you got to do whatever you can do to get it together, and so those were some of the events that were taking place over the weekend. One big one because it had hundreds of people that attended. This is the 50th anniversary for the class of 1976. So they did a 50th reunion because they graduated 50 years ago.
Wow, did they have summer school 50 years ago? I know.
I'm sure they did.
They had summer school 50 years ago.
I'm sure they did.
Okay, all right. 50th year anniversary, Mount Carmel. What school is this?
High school. So it was GW, JFK, FD, Academy, and I don't know if it was Notre Dame as well. But they all showed out all together. I thought that was really cool, that it was a party for every school. It was a class of 76 island-wide 50th reunion. Let me tell you what the schools were because I'm looking right at it. It was Academy, FDA, GW, JFK, Notre Dame, and Votech, because Votech was a school at the time. It was on the GCC campus now, but Votech was a vocational technical school. A lot of kids graduated from that school. So they did 6 of the schools got together, and they all... spread the love. Class of 1976.
Good job,
they did
guys.
It right. They did it big.
Get it? Class of 32.
I'm just admiring the people who are putting something like this together. I like it because it was $76 per person. And the significance of 76. That was the bicentennial year.
That's nice.
And so and that was Typhoon Pamela. Maybe some of these people didn't see each other since 50 years
catch
ago.
up. Be like, so what have you been doing the last 50 years? It's like, so let's all catch up.
So my class of 1977 is celebrating their 50th year as well, because we graduated in 1977. So 2027 is our 50th year. I'm on the planning committee, which really scares me.
Class of 27? There's a class of 27?
No. Class of 1977.
1977. Okay, sorry. Okay, go. I'm done.
You mean is there a class of 1927?
Is there a class of
I'm sure they are in heaven somewhere, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's
so
go.
we're doing
You
one
guys
as
got
well,
one
and they're
coming
planning,
up.
and I already.
Where's it at?
We're still in the planning stages, but I'm just saying that I already. It's like
fun.
gathering cats.
I love that.
There were 50-some women in my classroom, and it's like gathering cats. You know.
Always a lot of fun.
Reunions are fun, and we're looking forward to a great event because we're also having it on Guam. So a lot of people spent some money to get themselves on Guam. I see a lot of off-island people who attended this event.
Oh, so they flew in for the graduation.
Yeah, they flew in for one of them was Manny Crisostomo. He flew in not for the reunion. I mean, the reunion. Yeah,
Okay.
and so many of them was Manny Crisostomo, who's going to be in the studio here in a little while. But they, when you have class reunions, and especially if it's a landmark of 50th, people will plan to come home and be a part. I think it was good because it's in Guam, so a lot of people who haven't been in Guam for a long time have an excuse to come home. Right, for their graduation. We've had reunions. We had one in Vegas once. I didn't go, but there were a number of people who did go. But nothing is better than having one. Yeah. Sure. GW also had their class of 19. GW also had theirs class of 69 to 89. When was that? They came from off island for the mega reunion. Yeah, there was a lot of people. And so, yeah, if you want to have like 6 schools celebrate one thing, all of them, hundreds of kids that were all, and I'm looking at some of the pictures from and especially the academy because that's my alma mater. And I knew these ladies because they graduated, they're a year older than me. So, of course, everybody in the class. And there's some of the faces I'm like, I don't even recognize that person. And then somebody would say who it is. I'm like, oh, my God. Or people who haven't even changed.
Love it.
Like they look exactly like they did 50 years ago. And that's always amazing to see.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. What year are you celebrating?
No, that's neat. I'm not celebrating my graduation. I don't have my graduation.
Your reunion.
Do we have a class reunion? I don't think. Where's our group chat? Hold on.
What year did you graduate?
Let's see. We got.
What year did you graduate?
Class of 2000.
Oh, well, you should be coming up on one.
Right? Let's see.
I mean, did you
We're
that's
the 2000 bunch.
2000. I said, did you guys celebrate a 25th reunion last year?
I don't. You know what? Our class gets together on everything. You know.
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
that's true.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. In Saipan.
Just random. No, here, JFK.
JFK.
I graduated from JFK. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's okay. No, they do like random stuff in the group chat. So I'm like, oh, we're all getting together. We're going to be at EPAL. For what? You're still, you know what I mean? And then you got to tell them, be like, you were the president in high school, not anymore. It's like, you're not the president anymore.
No, honestly,
whenever you still have those.
I know we do
title.
too. Whenever we have a class something, we always rely on our class president. And I think that 50 years later, Monica's going, oh my God, when is this job going to ever end?
Yes, you got those, and it's like you're still the president, even of the group chat. It's like, godly, geez, Put all the potlucks together, be like, okay, so and so's bringing this, that, and that. It's like, oh, here we go. So those are always fun. I think there's a lot of stuff to do here on Guam, and it's always nice to see people coming back home. So
yeah,
hopefully they could stay a little longer. Not only just for a graduation.
Oh yeah, I think they've been here for a while because they had like a mega wide picnic on Saturday. Yeah, I mean over the weekend or Sunday yesterday. I don't know. They had a mega something. Everything having to do with these 6 schools is a mega something.
There it is. We're going to be at Beach Bar. There it is, right there. I opened it up. Beach Bar.
When?
JFK's at Beach Bar on Sunday.
This coming Sunday?
Yep, Beach Bar. It says Beach Bar, 7 o'clock. Everybody.
7 o'clock.
Yeah, Beach Bar, 7 o'clock.
Are you going?
Nope. Nope. I just like getting invited. No, I'm not going to Beach Bar. I got things to do. It's like, dude, it's Sunday. This is Jesus' day. It's like Jesus' day. I go surfing on Sundays.
That's Jesus' day. She goes surfing.
I go surfing on Sundays, right? It's like me and the fishes, you know what I mean? I'm going to take advantage before they ban surfing. You know, they ban spearfishing at nighttime.
I saw that. I
can't
thought it was a
spearfish.
bill that was out there.
I know, so we can't fish at night. And that's where all the good stuff's at. You know, all the lobster comes out at night. All the good catches at nighttime.
Oh.
And we can't touch it at nighttime anymore. So
Sorry.
I know, that's okay. I guess we'll just buy it outside. Just wait till the sun comes up. Be like, wait for Uncle Johnny. Yeah, so
To do his thing.
It's like, Uncle Johnny, we need you. They told us we can't fish, but you don't follow rules.
Good
Can you come
God,
and-
there's a guy who could give any F's, I swear,
Uncle Johnny, can
about
you come
any
with
of
us?
that.
I love Uncle Johnny. He'll break that rule. Uncle Johnny, let's go fishing tonight.
Ain't nobody gonna stop me from doing what I'm gonna
It's
do.
like, we got to go with Uncle Johnny. Yes. But yeah, it is what it is. It's cool.
Well, it's the bottom of the hour. We'll let you ponder on those important points, and we'll come back at you after this break. We'll be right back.
Military officer, law enforcer, policymaker. Service has been the cornerstone of Congressman James Moylan's life. James Moylan swore to protect America as an officer in the United States Army. As a parole officer, James worked with families affected by substance abuse and domestic violence. He was elected to the 35th and 36th Guam legislatures, and now James Moylan represents Guam's needs in our nation's capital as a member of the United States Congress. Congressman Moylan has fought for more than $3 billion for Guam, including almost $1 billion in military construction and roads, and law enforcement and first responder vehicles and equipment. Moylan is also working vigorously on standing up a regional office right here on Guam, a game changer for our 25,000 plus veterans, 40 years and 4 oaths. Dedicated, resilient, trustworthy, and proven. That's James Moylan. Re-elect James Moylan for Congress. Moylan works.
I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho, Treasurer.
Pat Stinting and Detailing is bringing the shine this July with our Liberation Detailing Specials, starting at $110. From Jigo to Malesu, we got you covered. Call 647-SLAM or WhatsApp 483-7522. Viva Guam!
The road to Adelup is in full swing. We recently spoke with Democrat candidates Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and Senator Tina Munilla Barnes to learn more about their vision for Guam. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 26th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. This is a glimpses of Guam radio station.
We are all for first-time guests and longtime friends. All for First Light and Starlight. For road trips and trail runs. All for mountaintops and monuments. River bends and battlefields. We're all for showing up and giving back. To protect, to preserve, to pass it on. All parks depend on us, and we're all for parks. Join us at nationalparks.org/allforparks.
My name is Erica, and my son Kason is a patient at Shriners Children. My oldest called me and said Kason got burnt. The trauma doctor came in and said he needs to go to Shriners.
His injury was a big injury, and I think a testament to the care that we provide. He's fully functional. He's riding his dirt bike, doing all of the things that you would want him to do.
We're just so thankful that Kason is still here. Go online right now to loveshriners.org.
Exciting. Good morning, Guam. 7:37 in the morning. It is a Monday here on the Wave 105 FM. We're going to hit the streets right now for another look at your traffic report. It's brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. You can schedule a test drive by calling 478-AUTO, or if you'd like to look at our inventory, you may also check out our website. That is guamautospot.com. It looks like traffic is light this morning. You will have some delays getting around the supermarkets this morning, as well as our friends over at Cost You Less. It is Liberation Weekend on the street, so let's all just watch our speed limit coming around the Micronesia Mall. It does look like we got some north and southbound traffic building up outside of Jollibee this morning. Hopping on to Route 16, traffic is moving smoothly. A little delay getting in and out of Hamburger Road, as well as Happy Landing. That's going to be upper lower Tucson for folks trying to merge between the two, as well as that Kmart intersection. So just prepare yourselves for those areas. Route 1 into morning traffic is also still light this morning. So like I said, let's just watch our speed limit, eyes on the roads, no texting and driving, and we should all be able to have ourselves a safe Monday morning. This is your traffic report right here on the Wave 105 FM, and it's all being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot.
Military officer, law enforcer, policymaker. Service has been the cornerstone of Congressman James Moylan's life. James Moylan swore to protect America as an officer in the United States Army. As a parole officer, James worked with families affected by substance abuse and domestic violence. He was elected to the 35th and 36th Guam legislatures, and now James Moylan represents Guam's needs in our nation's capital as a member of the United States Congress. Congressman Moylan has fought for more than $3 billion for Guam, including almost $1 billion in military construction and roads, and law enforcement and first responder vehicles and equipment. Moylan is also working vigorously on standing up a regional office right here on Guam, a game changer for our 25,000 plus veterans, 40 years and 4 oaths. Dedicated, resilient, trustworthy, and proven. That's James Moylan. Re-elect James Moylan for Congress. Moylan works.
I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho, Treasurer.
The road to Adelup is in full swing. We recently spoke with Democrat candidates Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and Senator Tina Munilla Barnes to learn more about their vision for Guam. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 26th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. This is a glimpses of Guam radio station.
Pat's Tinting and Detailing is bringing the shine this July with their Liberation Detailing Specials, starting at $110. From Jigo to Malesu, we got you covered. Call 647-SLAM or WhatsApp 483-7522. Viva Guam!
We are all for first-time guests and longtime friends. All for First Light and Starlight. For road trips and trail runs. All for mountaintops and monuments. River bends and battlefields. We're all for showing up and giving back. To protect, to preserve, to pass it on. All parks depend on us, and we're all for parks. Join us at nationalparks.org/allforparks.
My name is Erica, and my son Kason is a patient at Shriners Children. My oldest called me and said Kason got burnt. The trauma doctor came in and said he needs to go to Shriners.
His injury was a big injury, and I think a testament to the care that we provide. He's fully functional. He's riding his dirt bike, doing all of the things that you would want him to do.
We're just so thankful that Kason is still here. Go online right now to loveshriners.org.
A message from Joshua Jackson, actor and Fair Volunteer Ambassador.
Food allergy is a serious, life-threatening disease that impacts over 33 million Americans. When your immune system sees certain food proteins as a threat, every bite matters. But here's the good news. There have been advancements in the treatment of food allergies, and with one voice, we can create better awareness. Because in the FAIR community, the disease doesn't own us. We own our journey. Talk to an allergist to understand your options. Visit foodallergy.org/empower to learn more.
Stay sharp, stay curious, stay connected. Wave 105, the talk of Guam. Glimpses Media.
Yeah.
One more?
I feel like there is.
Right? It's just lingering. Don't you hate,
I hate
that?
those.
It's like, look, we need it all out right now. We just got to get it all out.
I've been sneezing since last week.
Okay.
There's something, I don't know.
Okay, you're
Is
good.
it something in the air? I was like, or things are blooming, or it's just all. I'm not sick. It's just sneezing. Just
Coconut oil and
really
Vicks,
good ones
Patti.
lately.
Coconut oil and Vicks.
Yeah. So they have the World Cup finals taking place and went into overtime. They're in halftime right now, right?
Yay! Justin Bieber, BTS, Shakira, Madonna, everyone. They're
Dang.
all on stage right now.
Okay.
Yes.
When we were watching this for the first time, when they were coming in, when all the teams were in America, they were trying the food. There was just enough fodder to have these conversations about what world peace can look like with just normal people loving each other and taking care of each other at a time when we have all the reasons in the world to hate each other, because that's what we are pushing, the sentiment of America.
Each other. Don't hate each other.
Well, no. We aren't hating each other, but our government hates other governments.
That's why we don't like the government, Patti.
Yeah, this is right.
We're not friends with government.
Oh, that's not the halftime. That was the end of the game.
That we don't.
You're watching.
We don't do that. We do good energy. It's like whatever's not going to stress us out, we stay far away from.
Okay, so the end
Go
of the
for it.
game, and now it went into overtime. So what you're seeing is the end of the game. I guess with overtime, it's like the in between, but the regulated time is over. So now they go into OT. And thank you. Then if there's no goal, then it's a shootout. So whoever scores first.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. If you're not watching, okay. Hang on a second. Hang on. Okay, our guests are downstairs. This is a cluster, but anyway. So 747. We're dealing with when it was happening. There were a lot of people who were sending all of these videos of each other. They were so happy that they were eating the food and they were getting to know what America looked like. They were in our neighborhoods and all of that stuff. And there was just it was beautiful watching what was happening to all of us during this time. The problem is that what America was doing to show itself off and the sort of support that we had for these teams, the other part of that was when they got back to their homes, it was the welcoming of their countries that was up for real criticism, because some of these countries were getting some pretty bad press from their countries for not having won. One of the places where that was prominent was in Korea. The South Koreans during the World Cup were partiers. And they just found this new camaraderie, a love with the Mexicans. You saw them playing, drinking on the streets, and you saw these stories of how they became each other's best friends during that time, and they were cheering each other on. When Korea went back to Korea, they were booed at the gate upon arrival. They were ruthlessly booing this team. And their coach also came across some really heavy criticism for not winning. So you can only imagine the shame that they had in their own country arriving there for whatever reason that they gave for this happening was not a reason enough for people like me, because we see we know what a good welcome home looks like when you come back from the country, come back to the country, win or lose. And it was pretty brutal. I thought it was painful to watch, but it happened, and a lot of folks were not happy about it. But I think that when the Koreans that were responding to the criticism were very cautious about responding to the criticism, for one thing. But what they were mostly they were not concerned, but what most people were concerned about is that it's par for the course. Like, this is a natural reaction. They're not awarding everybody a prize. If you lose, you lose. And in that country, it was the shame of losing, which sounded to be more cultural than anything that you can control, that they expected that kind of reception, because they weren't able to perform for their countries. Therefore, they were, shamed and upon homecoming, which is a tough one. It's a tough one to watch because I just don't see that kind of culture in America. Win or lose, we just don't do that. And there would be a huge protest if you had people who were booing a team that went to represent your country because they didn't win. So the win was non-negotiable. And they certainly felt that, indeed. So, anyway, there are people who are glued to the television right now, and they're watching it. One of them is our field producer who can't really concentrate on much else at this moment. So there's that. 7:51. We were talking about a number of things that had happened over the weekend. There was a power outage that really got a lot of people irritated. And then there was, the stuff that was happening, reeling from the week's events on the budget. They're going to be voting for it today. There's just a lot of controversy, a lot of criticism of the powers of the legislature, depending on where you're sitting. Even some of their fervent supporters are now opining about what they're doing with the chopping down these amendments that have any money that's attached to it, because they're taking the side that that we don't want to start coughing up money that's unaudited funding that we don't even know that we have for sure, and it's all about the PR, really. That if you start funding things or putting them on the books that you're going to fund it, and then it doesn't come to fruition only because you have an unaudited amount of money that you can't really rely on. They don't want to have any conversations about whether that money would make it into the budget as an amendment, because then you're guaranteeing something without the funds to do it. So on their side, the Republicans are saying, we're not going to do it. If you want, we'll have supplemental budget talks like we did last year, but we're not going to do that. And Speaker Bloss says, as a matter of transparency, this is not how we're going to do it. If we do the supplemental, everybody will agree that would happen. The question is if it happens, because we are right now at smack dab in the middle of not only budget hearings, but a campaign. And the campaign is the part that everybody is really concentrating on. And you couldn't have found a better dress rehearsal for what this will look like in a new legislature. The Democrats are pushing hard to get into leadership at the legislature. And not only there, but nationally. It's Trump gave a speech on Friday talking, and why it didn't get a lot of coverage, because none of the news agencies picked it up. They ghosted him. They would not air it because they were CNN for its part. Caitlin Clark said, she said, you know what, we're not going to do this, because if we do, clearly all of the information that he spews in these things are unfounded. And we're not going to allow him on our airtime to feed lies or feed conspiracy theories that haven't been fact-checked. And because he's notorious for this, we're going to err on the side of caution and not air it. So a lot of people missed what he had to say, and he kind of went on a typical Trump tangent. And then yesterday I was watching 50 some times in a matter of hours, beginning at midnight.
Okay.
He posted on his Truth Social.
Okay.
Deranged, like delusional. No. In the middle of the night while we were all sleeping at midnight. Well, on the mainland, must have been like, 2 o'clock in the morning here. Okay. He was just sending 50 some texts. About Biden, about Obama. He just went into this spiral. So a lot of people are looking at this and they're just saying, this is even going to get worse. If we have a Republican majority in Congress, it's going to be not only what we just had, but this will be worse, because we still have Republicans that know that they're dealing with a president who's nuts, but at the same time, his word still means something with the voter base. That if they're denounced rather than propped up, the likelihood of them winning is very, very good. Not winning is very, very good, because his endorsement still means something amongst the voters. So the Democrats, in fact, somebody sent me a video of the Democrats. It was a meme. There wasn't anything there. that would have said that there was anything in that would have said that had any expletive words, but it was a push for voting. I got it on a number of fronts, but it was the talking heads of Obama, Biden, Bush, and Clinton.
Wow.
Yeah, and these were, it was done, it was the Living Presidents Get Real musical about the vote in November. And they basically AI their mouths and expressions over a song that tells them to vote in the midterms and vote Democrat, because you do not know what's going to happen if the Republican, well, you do know, it's already being laid out what will happen if the Republicans win Congress. And then there was I mean, depending on where you watch, and you got to be able to decipher which ones are meaningful to you, because there's a lot of crap out there.
There's a lot.
Remember, we were talking about it last week. If you are not savvy about AI, then you can get clickbaited, or you could be baited into believing something that really has the illusion of being real.
Very true.
And it's not real. And then you carry that message, you know. And what they've done is they've speeded up the number of MAGA interviews, where they interview MAGA people, staunch MAGA people, about their choices for the election and what they feel. And they all feel that Trump is right, that they're still pushing the agenda that 2020 was stolen. And they had this one woman the other day who was saying that Biden only won, check this out, only won because these ballots were beamed up to space. And this is like stuff you hear when you're stoned. And that sounds believable. The votes were beamed up to base by the electronic voting machines, right? Beamed up to base. Up to space. They were vetted, and every vote that was for Trump turned into a Biden vote that they beamed back down to the polling sites, and that's how Biden won. That's in space. They have like some. Yeah, they have some tabulating machines in space or satellite that would turn all the Trump votes into.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
It's pretty funny. It was pretty funny.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The aliens took the ballots.
The aliens took the ballots. They were and this.
Like, dude. I cannot.
It was weird.
I cannot. I'm going, oh my God. It's
But that's kind of what we're dealing with, right? We're dealing with people who really don't understand, who don't really, they're just, they buy whatever is fed to them. There's no possibility that what they're reading or what they're hearing is the truth. And that's what's dangerous right now, and that's why even Fox wouldn't run it, because Fox was actually sued for millions of dollars for pushing that this election was stolen, and I think the voting tabulation company actually sued them for millions of dollars for spewing that same thing. So them running anything where the president to support that the president, well, what he was saying was true, is actually defying a court order that found them to be guilty of that same information. So, do you want to go on through another multi-million-dollar suit and to pay out that you've been spewing this garbage? And they're not letting it go. So how much do you feel like it has anything to do with your vote for who's in office now and running for re-election? Because there are some that are running for re-election, and there are some who are running for election who honestly believe everything that is being said, that the president's word is word, and they will not back down. As ludicrous as your normal mind will tell you, they will not filter it to not believe what he's saying, to a fault. And you can see that there are people on Guam that are running or currently sitting in office who believe this stuff. And they're not out there, and they're not pushing the MAGA stance. They're not out there saying that they are for this or that. They're just out there running. And you can, if you ask them questions that are a little bit deeper, like, do you believe that the 2020 election was stolen? That'll be your answer on who is who. And they've been asking that question. They asked that of several of the nominees that are up for consideration to run national intelligence. You saw it the other day when they were being grilled by John Ossoff from Georgia, where he sat there and grilled the candidate about whether or not he thought that this 2020 election was stolen. And the guy wouldn't answer the question. He went all the way around it, and he tried to gaslight the situation. And then that was a dangerous thing, because if you still believe in that sort of information that's coming out of the Trump camp, then you are representing a bunch of people who don't feel that way too. Find out who they are. Ask them the question, do you feel like the 2020 election was stolen? And see what they answer, because sometimes apparently that is the thing that you that you ask that will tell you who is who. It's 8 o'clock in the morning now. We're going to go ahead and take this break and come back around. We got some guests in the studio. We'll talk with them about liberation stuff. That's ahead here on Mornings with Patti. We are KGUM FM and Daddy to Guam.
Unwrapping a classic childhood favorite today as we uncover how a simple candy on a stick became an adult pop culture sensation. Welcome to the National Day Spotlight for July 20th.
National Lollipop Day is a nostalgic look back at the simple, colorful, hard candies we all enjoyed when we were kids. But during the 1970s, the humble sucker underwent a cultural renaissance. It happened thanks to a hit television crime drama starring actor Telly Savalas as the cynical New York detective lieutenant Theo Kojak. The show's writers decided to give the gritty detective a Tootsie Pop as a signature character trait, using the candy as a clever visual tool to show him trying to quit smoking cigarettes on the job. The gimmick was a massive success, causing global lollipop sales to skyrocket among adults who copied his style to kick their own habits. It's a story about how one tough-as-nails TV detective turned an ordinary playground candy into a Hollywood icon.
Loves you, baby.
Okay, that's
You're
pretty
beautiful.
cool story, actually. I don't remember watching that show. Did you?
Well, I don't remember watching it, but I have seen pictures of Telly Savalas
with the lollipop.
With the lollipop.
Yeah.
Many, many times, actually.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We are also celebrating National Moon Day and National Fortune Cookie Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Founded in the early days of the web and still going strong today, Pair Networks now hosts over 150,000 websites for its demanding customers worldwide. Setting the standards for excellence, Pair Networks has a technical and support staff that's second to none. A highly stable company with top-of-the-line technology, Pair Networks offers total reliability and flexibility for your website, and even a money-back guarantee. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Make the move today. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks. World-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
It's time to celebrate Guam's liberation with the Triple J Ford Liberation Celebration. We're clearing out inventory with prices below dealer cost and thousands off retail on your favorite Ford vehicles. Drive home a new Ford F-150 starting at just $39,995. Get behind the wheel of a Ford Mustang starting at $36,995. Or save big on the Explorer, Bronco Sport, Ranger, and Maverick. But hurry, all stock must go. Visit Triple J Ford in Upper Tumon today or get pre-approved instantly and shop online at TripleJGuam.com. Triple J Ford, customers first.
Military officer, law enforcer, policymaker. Service has been the cornerstone of Congressman James Moylan's life. James Moylan swore to protect America as an officer in the United States Army. As a parole officer, James worked with families affected by substance abuse and domestic violence. He was elected to the 35th and 36th Guam legislatures, and now James Moylan represents Guam's needs in our nation's capital as a member of the United States Congress. Congressman Moylan has fought for more than $3 billion for Guam, including almost $1 billion in military construction and roads, and law enforcement and first responder vehicles and equipment. Moylan is also working vigorously on standing up a regional office right here on Guam, a game changer for our 25,000 plus veterans, 40 years and 4 oaths. Dedicated, resilient, trustworthy, and proven. That's James Moylan. Re-elect James Moylan for Congress. Moylan works.
I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho, Treasurer.
The road to Adelaide continues. This time, we sit down with Republican candidates. Vice Speaker Tony Atta, and E.J. Calvo. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 5th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a glimpse of Guam radio station.
Pat's Tinting and Detailing is bringing the shine this July with our Liberation Detailing Specials, starting at $110. From Jigo to Malesu, we got you covered. Call 647-SLAM or WhatsApp 483-7522. Viva Guam!
When families feel safe, communities grow stronger. Senator Chris Duenas passed the Malik Act to put more officers on our streets and confront the meth crisis hurting too many of our people. He led efforts to expand affordable housing through the additional dwelling unit and advanced nitrate bills. And now he is authoring his second balanced budget that protects essential services while supporting private sector jobs. Steady leadership, real results. Re-elect Chris Duenas. He's focused, balanced, and ready.
I'm Chris Duenas, and I approve this message.
Code 1 Store, your one-stop shop for public safety and everyday gear. Shop trusted brands with tactical pouches, apparel, and footwear. Serving Guam since 1999. Celebrate liberation with our special giveaway happening now. Code 1 Store. Gear up today.
With decades experience in Guam and the region, Take Care members have access to the largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs. Membership also includes the high-quality credentialed network of on- and off-island healthcare providers and the one-stop FHB Health Center and urgent care. Ask for Take Care. Call 671-647-3526. Go to takecareasia.com for more information. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
Our critically injured veterans and first responders are left behind every day because of inadequate wheelchairs. That's why Wheelchairs for Warriors is on a mission to serve America's heroes across the nation and provide them with custom-fit wheelchairs tailored to fit their needs to ensure they're rejoining their lives at the highest level of independent mobility and function possible. From lightweight daily use chairs or adaptive sports chairs to all-terrain wheelchairs to get these warriors outdoors. Wheelchairs for Warriors serves those who served us. To join their mission, visit their website at wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
It's time to celebrate Guam's
News,
liberation with the
insight,
Triple J Ford
conversation.
Liberation Celebration. We're clearing out inventory
Wave
with prices
105,
below
the
dealer
talk of
cost
Guam.
and thousands off retail on your favorite Ford vehicles.
Bank Pacific has a $100 gift for all recent high school and college graduates.
Okay, I'll bite. What is it?
Open a checking account with Bank Pacific, show us you just graduated, and bingo, we'll deposit an additional $100 into your account.
What about a Visa debit card?
Yep, Visa debit card, online and mobile banking, remote deposit capture, the works.
What about for existing customers who just graduated?
They get $100 too.
Great, count me in.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots. Conditions apply, member FDIC.
What do world champion martial artist Brandon Vera and DJ Jackson have in common with jazz great Patrick Palomo? They all teach Mount Carmel Academy Charter School students. Mount Carmel is now a charter school serving the entire island of Guam, voted Guam's best school, and is tuition free. We begin our 70th year of educating the complete child. Register today. Call 565-5128.
More than radio, it's Guam's group chat, Wave 105. Join the conversation. Glimpses Media.
I might be too taboo. I have tried to be a girl with good intentions, proud to speak my heart without any pretensions. My words will never
And here we are. Look at us. If you're not on YouTube, where are you? Well, you might be watching what is now the end of that sudden loss with Spain in a last-minute point against Argentina. World Cup finals are over finally. And so there's that. We're all getting the news. Happy to tell that to Laura, our field producer, who was baking banana bread nervously while watching this match. And so she came up and delivered the product of the World Cup victory. She brought some banana bread, Dice, for you and for Polly. And my guests just happened to be in the studio. Great timing, guys. Nice. The guests were in the studio, coming into the studio, and I said, hey, this, out of a hot Chamorro kitchen, every self-respecting Chamorro knows you don't just let it sit there. And this is banana bread. So go ahead, Rob. Yeah, and the Honorable Judge Johnny Gogo has hacked into it, so he broke the first. Well, yeah. Well, here we are. The trio is back in town, +1. I like that. You guys.
+1.
Yeah. You got +1, Joanne.
Prima Joanne.
Gogo
Simona.
From the Guam Museum Foundation. Okay. So this is not the Guam Museum. It's sort of like an foundation that supports the museum.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You can move that microphone into where you are. Okay, Joanne.
It is the nonprofit organization arm of raising funds for the museum.
Absolutely. And everybody, Rob, he's in mid-chew, but you're forgiven. You're in mid-chew. Hi there, Rob. It's good to see you again, back in town.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's always good when you guys come. Whenever I see you guys, it's like something big is happening. And then, of course, Manny Crisostomo, who is the guy you can't escape anywhere on social media, because you're constantly there just telling everybody what it is that you're doing, and the work that you're doing is centric to us. So it's always good to see. So this time, I mean, you're rocking the shirt. I mean, is this this is a shirt of all your works?
No, this is the Frank. The project is from most of the photos were from Frank Bookman. He was a 104-year-old photographer that Rob, Johnny, and I met, and he shared his photos with us.
And you put it. It was an exhibit 2 years ago.
A year ago.
Was it just last year?
Yes, 1 year.
And then we found some of the survivors, or the folks in the images. We were able to find them. There was a wedding group photo, and we found the twin flower girls.
Oh, did you? Yes. Okay. And, there were some people. I mean, off the bat, I don't know if a lot of people went to that wedding, but they certainly remember a lot of those people in that photo. I recognized a couple when I saw their names.
Yeah. Rob did a deep dive on that.
Yeah, it was really a pretty large fandango they had, and if I recall correctly, there were 3 or 4 military bands that played.
Wow.
There were multiple.
Must have been the wedding of the year.
And then you got to remember, there's destruction all around the Hagatnya.
Yeah.
And they were able to pull this off. And
what year exactly was that?
1944.
Yeah. Okay.
And some of the other people were, Rob, you want to mention who we found that were in the photos?
Well, we found the twin flower girls.
Mm-hmm.
We found the one of the bridesmaids who's still living.
Mm-hmm.
Was the 3
the
of them,
governor?
Right?
Oh, Ricky.
Ricky Berdallo was he was a 18, 19-year-old.
Was it one of his brothers that was also there? Or was just Ricky? It was just Ricky. Okay. Okay.
And the brother of Archbishop Flores.
Yes.
Was there.
Mm-hmm.
And Cristobal Duenas.
Yes, those are the ones that I remember. I wonder if that was all family. Was it all a family group photo?
So I asked it was the Perez family of Francisco Perez and his wife, and I asked the family if Ricky was related, and they were just friends.
Yeah, I don't think that the bloodline showed that Ricky was a relative of theirs, but nonetheless, that became an iconic photo and I think it was most prominently displayed because it was the most talked about, and the possibility of somebody still being alive from that was very real, right? So,
and the twins, Auntie Sylvia, Auntie Melvia, came to the opening.
Wow,
they were in their matching mestizas, and we had a huge photo. And I had a picture of them arguing, no, that's you. No, that's you. That's you. Like 80 years later.
Well, they can't tell the part.
80 years later, they couldn't figure out who was who in the photo.
That's really, well, how serendipitous it feels like it would be to be able to locate people from a whole world away.
Yeah, because Frank Bookman, unfortunately, when he took the photos, what he provided to us, there was no caption information.
Yeah.
So I had to put my reporter's hat on and just reach out to people and say, hey, do you know anyone in this photo? And I would get an email or a phone call saying, oh yeah, I think my auntie knows who that is. And so you just had to go down that process, put the pieces together, and eventually it came up with a very compelling story.
Patty, when we had the exhibit last year, Frank Bookman died just when the book went to press and stuff.
Yeah.
But his daughter and Jane and her husband Mike came and represented, and it was really a sweet moment. They came; they were here for 30 days. They really got into the island and the people there at the grand stage for the parade and stuff. And they were like, Can we come down and see you guys installing the stuff? I said, no, let's just wait and have a reveal. But they came every day, and we were all tearing up half the time.
Well, okay, speaking of serendipitous or even divine guidance, however you want to match together how this all happened, it was a fluke. It was like everybody was at the right place at the right time with somebody with a photo, and then a box recovered, and y'all went there to actually see Mr. Bookman.
It was actually a love story.
The love story, okay.
And Rob
refresh our memory.
Rob can explain that.
Okay, Rob, because you did a lot of research, and you're the research arm of all of this, right? Okay.
Well, no, the Taylor Gutierrez was at the time dating a guy from Las Vegas, and Taylor also lived in Las Vegas, and they took a trip to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to meet. What was Taylor's?
Barbara.
Yeah, Barbara Garrett. Her, Barbara was Gabriel's grandmother, and they went to go meet family in the Pittsburgh area, and one of the persons they went to go see was Frank Bookman. And Taylor had never been to Guam, but she was raised by her grandparents, and they raised her to be very, very, curious and prideful of the Chamorro culture. And so when Taylor discovered that Frank Bookman, who was Gabriel's great uncle, had a collection of photos from Guam, a place that Taylor had never visited, she was interested in going and meeting him.
I guess, yeah.
And when they went to his nursing home, they sat around the table and were passing around these photos that had, for the most part, been in a box for 80 years.
Yeah.
And as they were passing the photos around, Taylor was really excited and asking about each of the photos. And then she came across a couple where she said, this woman looks familiar. So she took a photo of the photos, texted them to her grandmother, who was back in Las Vegas, called her up and said, Grandma, do you know anyone in this? These people look familiar. Do you know anyone in them? And her grandmother just gasped and said, that's my mother.
Oh, my God.
And
that's some chicken skin right there.
And then the grandmother was also in some of the photos.
Yeah.
Anne
Gutierrez's mother was in the photo, and her grandmother.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. And so that just sort of, how did that all get to your attention?
Well, I was there for an event for GVB, and I saw the
in Las
collection
Vegas.
of photos. So the Bookman family gave Taylor's grandparents, Anne Bloss and Gutierrez and Roy Gutierrez. This is Carl's younger brother. And I saw it, and I go, oh, my God, this is really amazing.
This is a collection.
And then GVB was sponsoring the event, and Nadine Leonguero said, I said, what are you going to do with these photos? And Nadine goes, oh, we're going to probably get it digitized and have a collection at Mark for research purposes. And she goes, you know anybody in Guam that can digitize this? And I looked at her and I said, I don't know anybody in Guam, but I know somebody right in front of you that would love a chance to do this.
Yeah.
And so I was able to talk to Taylor and Gabe, who were at that event. They gave us all the information, and we were on a plane to Pittsburgh in the middle of November.
That is amazing.
Because Frank was then 104, and we just wanted
to meet him and just to thank him for.
Yeah.
But the reasoning.
And then the family gave me more photos and stuff.
Wow.
So I spent.
Does he still have some photos, or did they give the entire collection to you guys?
They did. I mean, all I wanted to do was digitize it
and then give it back,
return it. But they were like, just kind of hang out to it.
Wow.
And then the original batch that was given to Taylor and Taylor's grandparents, I sent it back to Vegas.
Oh, okay. So Johnny's awfully quiet on that side. We're going to get you the microphone. What's your involvement in all of this, other than being so interested in, like we all are?
Well, my involvement started with, trying to track down World War II liberators of Guam to sign a Guam flag for me to make sure that we honored those liberators. But as I was doing my research, I found out most of the liberators had actually passed away. And then as I was thinking about this flag signing project, I said, not only should I have liberators sign it, I should have the Chamorro survivors of World War II sign the flag. And I started with my mom, who's still with us. So Remedios Didasco Cepeda, Gogo now, who was born in 1941. And she was about 10 months old when December 8th took place. And my father was also a small child too, but my father passed away in 95, so I didn't get a chance to have my dad sign the flag before he passed. But I realized that we should really try to get as many Chamorro World War II survivors to sign the flag. And so I just started doing that on my own and taking photos to document and capture the people who were signing the flag. And then Manny was working on his own project documenting our Chamorro diaspora in the States, his San Lago book production. And we would Manny and I would run into each other at the same Chamorro cultural fairs in the Bay Area of California and then elsewhere. And then finally, because Manny's the creative one, right? He had the idea of collaborating with me and traveling with me to the different parts of the States and back home to Guam. And he said, "Hey, Primo, we should, either you should put together a book." And I was like, I don't know, Primo, that's not what I intended the project to be. It was just,
flag.
Just a flag. And to be honest, Patty, it was a personal and almost selfish reason because I was going to frame flag number 1 and really just put it in my own chambers, just as a reminder to me and to honor, again, those that liberated and survived World War II. But then as I worked with Manny and we started to travel the country, I realized that, this flag was bigger than just being selfish in keeping the chambers.
A wall decoration.
Correct.
Yeah.
It really needed to be returned back home to the people of Guam. And so, whether it was going to be at the Guam Museum or the Guam legislature or the governor's office, we wanted to bring it back home. And, we only started with one flag and that quickly filled up. We started flag number 2, that quickly filled up. Now we're on flag number 3 that we brought to the studio today. And Manny and I, we were going to cut our visit to Guam, for the liberation short, about a week so that we can fly back home to the Bay Area, do a quick laundry and get a quick rest before we fly out to the San Antonio liberation this coming weekend, July 25, because we have been informed that there might be potentially 8 to 12 more Chamorro World War II liberators that are residing in Texas. And so we want to visit those folks and give them an opportunity to put their name on the flag before we bring flag number 3 back home.
It's interesting because the whole flag concept, it really got everybody worked up. When it was the first one that had a lot of signatures on it, it was also available for people to come to the museum, not only to see the exhibit, but to also, you can show, because I guess you guys are on camera right now, so you might as well, you can see some of the names. I like how that they put all of their names. Right. It means a lot. Like the first one I see is Rosie Leon Guerrero Scambaluri. That's not only a prominent name. I mean, she prominently displays that. She is the niece of F.B. Leon Guerrero. Her father and F.B. are brothers. So you see that the identifiers are on there. People are proud of their families that have,
Again, yes. And Patty, you were actually explaining a little bit how you are related to
Rosie, Auntie Rosie. Yeah. My grandmother and FB were brother and sister.
Wow.
So I remember him toward the end after the Organic Act, and it was in the 60s, coming into my grandmother's house in Agana, coming through the door, and F.B. Leon Guerrero would be sitting right there at the entrance of the door. He spent all day at my grandmother's house. I was 7.
Right.
If I had known then, I sat there and absorbed everything he had to say, but he was a very quiet, very small guy. So we just like, hey, Uncle Nino, and walk away, right? So after he passed away, I was like, oh, dang, I should have had more responsibility in this one. But
Right.
But it is interesting that all of these names, they name their whole lineage.
Correct.
Right? That meant a lot to put everybody's name.
We asked them to put their full, names, so that way, again, the relatives and descendants would be able to help identify and recognize, and again be proud of the liberators and survivors. And so, this has been a passion project, and again, this is a love letter to the people of Guam.
This is really, so this is the third one. Rob, maybe you can tell us about your experience. When the first one was being displayed, you guys ran out of signatures pretty quick. Out of flags pretty quick. Because there were people they heard about it. After you guys left on that one interview, people were calling the station saying, where can we go? I want to bring my mother. They were taking these people who were usually infirmed at home. They were putting them in wheelchairs and taking them down there.
Yeah, it was very
touching, I'm
moving
sure. Yeah.
Last July when we had the flag at the museum, because when people came in to sign, oftentimes there were their children were coming, their relatives were coming, and when they signed, there would be a big crowd surrounding them watching them as they signed the flags. And people were in tears, they were laughing. It was just quite an experience.
What is it, do you think? Maybe Joanne could join in the conversation. What is it about the generation? You and I come from the same generation. Well, I think we all do, but I've known you for many years. I think that this is the last of my generation of people who really understand and absorb the involvement, because although my kids were not born and raised on Guam, it's in our family. So you pass these. There are people who are transplanted from the mainland, maybe grew up there, that are just trying to assess the significance. Yeah, go ahead, John.
So I got involved with these guys last year. Well, initially it was 3 years ago in Montana, where I lived. And I invited Prebbles, Manny, and Boo.
Yeah, okay. Good
to
know.
Montana for the first Montana Multicultural Fair, where we had about 21 different ethnic groups out there. And so Guam was one of them. And that's when we connected. And then after that, getting involved with the flag, they tasked me last year after they left to take the flag and line up the nuns who came out to the museum and signed the flag, or not the museum, the mayor's office in Sinahanya. So we had still a lot of people coming. And for me, at our age now, and we get to meet these people and listen to their stories, and there's no, they suffered a lot, but you don't hear the hate. They're resilient, and they just talk about the experience. But I never heard
the
any
hate. Yeah.
And I thought, wow, I'm proud of our Chamorro people who can just get back up and keep moving forward. And to meet a lot of them and the significance of this flag, it's like we're saying, it's a love letter to the generations coming up.
Yeah.
And as they come around to these flag signing, they're witnessing their parents or grandparents or great-grandparents sign it, and then they can, in the future, when it's hanging at the museum, share it with their children, and talk about the story.
Explain the project.
Well, I was going to say that I've had both. We have an exhibit right now in Long Beach, California, and last year when we had it at the Guam Museum, I had young Chamorros come up to me who were just profusely thanking us for doing this project in Long Beach. Some of them have never been to the islands,
Right.
but it said it inspired them to learn more about their culture, and that to me was very significant. That you're moving these young people, some of them who have never been here, to want to learn more, be curious about their roots.
Historically, though, Johnny, when you look at average Americans in the United States, and we are all of them in representing our culture, they can't fathom. They can't, because they never would have had that situation happen on their own soil. So knowing that when they were growing up, this was happening on the other side of the world, and they still have no knowledge of it being American territory or this type of territory with an enemy force occupying. I mean, it's mind-blowing to think that there is a generation of people who could still talk about what that suffering looked like.
Precisely, and that generation that, again, went through World War II, unfortunately, Father Time is catching up to everybody, and that generation is passing away, which is why this project is so important. And so, the exigency is immediate because we need to try to find as many as our World War II survivors to put their name on the flag. As a matter of fact, Manny and Prima Joanne and myself, we were at a family barbecue last night in Sinahanya, and one of my aunties came up and said, "Hey, my mom's in the hospital because she just fell down not too long ago." And I said, "Auntie, how old is your mom?" And she said 96 years old. So when we wrap up our interview today with you, Patti, we're going to head over to GMH to have our auntie put her name on the flag, and that's how it happens, right? We spread the word, and people tell us about their relatives, and so we try to make time. But we were going to have the exhibit at the Guam Museum this trip, but obviously Super Typhoon Bobby. Took its impact, and the museum had to postpone, our Manny's exhibit. But to Manny's credit, he put up, or he's having a kind of a last minute pop up at the Doucet Place, which is next to IHOP at the Doucet Hotel, next to that coffee place, and we invite any other of our World War II survivors to come. And I think we've actually got about 4 or 5 people who have said that they're going to come. We know that there's more, and we know it's going to be difficult getting down there because of the the road closures for the liberation. But if they can make it down there, we'd appreciate it. And so that's the latest.
It's tomorrow at 2 p.m.
2 p.m. And I actually started talking about that when we were giving the rundown tomorrow afternoon. Manny, the work that you have done throughout your life, leading you to a project that hits so close, not hits home on target, right? All of the experience that you've had in journalism and photojournalism, I see you everywhere. I'm sorry, I cyberstalk you. I'm a little fangirl. But when I see you in a place, I go, okay, Manny's there. And that's actually sort of a comforting thing. Not only are we friends from years ago, but your talent and how you've zeroed in on the people from here says a lot about what you've been doing and how you've kind of morphed into this area where you're centric to Guam.
Yeah, I mean, everything is, Chamorro-centric for me since I kind of took the buyout at the newspaper. And this is what I've been wanting, this is what I do now. This is my mission. And finding people like, the judge, helping him with his mission, his passion project, grabbing Rob and say, we have this great, the story idea, and having him as this amazing wordsmith. He's an award-winning
researcher,
investigative reporter.
Yeah.
And then Joanne helping us with the boots on the ground on the island and stuff. But when the original plan was when we had the exhibit last year, we raised some money. And we were just going to kind of do it as a scholarship and stuff. And then we kept thinking what we want to do. And we decided there's going to be a wall in the atrium at the Guam Museum that we're going to have up for 5 years. And I came back to build that. So there's the first two flags framed with all the signatures that the people can see. There's a little narrative that Rob wrote about what we're doing. And then we have a large monitor, and we're doing this beautiful looping slideshow. So half of it are all these amazing pictures from the 1940s, 45 to 46 that Frank took. And then on the other side, on the split screen, are all these over 323 World War II liberators and Chamorro World War II survivors with their names, just kind of looping. And then we have this beautiful fabric where we actually have all 323 photos with their names up. And we have it up, the wall project was going to launch last week, but with the typhoon, they postponed it to the 13th. And we're moving a few of those pieces over to Doucet Place.
Yeah.
And so it's a combination, basically. We're doing what we were supposed to do at the museum, at the Doucet Place, and then the Doucet asked me a few weeks ago to put up an exhibit of this new work.
That's nice.
And stuff.
Yeah. It's really interesting that what I'm so impressed about is that people, like I said, are going to where the flag is. And then the bonus is seeing these photos that may jar some of their memories, because I think the goal is really to identify every single person that Mr. Bachman took these photos of. When they first did that first congressional on the record hearing at Chamorro Village back in the day with the late Senator Pinko and members of Congress for the Guam World War II Loyalty Recognition Act, they were pulling teeth to get people to come to testify, because they were old Chamorros that just wanted to live their life without ever having a public recollection of what happened. And it becomes harder and harder. I know you know this, to be able to get these stories documented, and they're still very reluctant to be on paper or on video, right? But tell them that tell them their names are going to be affixed permanently on a flag or at a memorial, the monument that's up there where you can go. What is it about? I don't know, maybe the psychology is a psychological question, but what is it about knowing your name or your signature is affixed to something for recollection, but being very conservative about what it could be a matter of trauma, but that they don't want to speak, but they don't mind traveling, getting out of bed and going to have their names, or traveling off to far places to be able to be a part of it. Rob, in your conversation, did you understand that?
Well, from a personal standpoint, I remember growing up and, occasionally asking my parents about what their experience was during the war, and they, for the most part, didn't want to talk about it. And that's something that, as I was growing up, the people I tried to get some of these stories out of, they were reluctant to speak. I don't know if now, because more time has passed, but now when I approach people, they're, at least the people I've approached, they've been very willing to share their story. But the memories sometimes are
a little foggy.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
But that it's important for what they can remember. It's important to keep those stories alive, and this is how we're doing it.
And Patti, if I might add, I think one of the reasons that this project is so special is that we're not necessarily asking people to relive, the traumatic times and again, if you read the history and you do talk to some of the Chamorro people, they were tortured, right? Some of them were tortured, beaten, murdered at different parts during the occupation. This project, when I started the Flag Sign Project, was not to put people through those traumatic memories, and so. And I told them it was not just to honor themselves as survivors, but to honor their family members that were no longer with us, right? Who either were killed or passed away during the war, but also who passed away after the war that they didn't get a chance to participate in this project. And so I think, going back to your question of why they would want to put their name on the flag, I think it's for all of those reasons.
Mm.
And what was good about the, coming across the Frank Bookman collection was that put the focus of the second book on the post-war years and what they went through immediately after the occupation.
Yeah.
And the fact that we had this amazing photo collection that sort of fell into our lap, it was almost like a project that was meant to be.
Joanne, you're talking about your experiences on the mainland, coming across Chamorros that haven't been in Guam for a long time, but still having the vivid stories and the vivid memories. Was there was the same reluctance that you experienced?
Well, not in Montana. I met a lot of military men who served here, and they just talk about how beautiful the island is, but they never talk about
what happened.
Yeah. And really, I didn't come across a lot of Chamorros that live in the state of Montana.
Not
five of us.
Your husband, don't forget him.
Oh, my husband, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Who's originally from Rhoda.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we lived in Montana for about 20 years.
Oh.
And I just moved back to a year and a half ago.
Really?
Yes.
Are you glad you moved back?
Yeah.
Okay, there was a hesitancy. What happened?
No, I'm
we don't have
taking all
Target.
the things that I'm doing now, and
Yeah.
especially with these guys. I joined or got hired by the Guam Museum Foundation January this year.
Oh, okay.
So it's super exciting, and I wanted to also talk about the honor wall for the World War II survivors. So like Manny said, we were supposed to unveil that at our Tuba Chesed Sansabesa event, but because of the typhoon, it is now scheduled for August 11th at the Guam Museum. People can buy their tickets online, but we'll unveil it that day as well.
Okay.
And it's super cool. And, we just encourage people to even bring their grandparents if they can. And then there's going to be the Hinanauta show that evening. So if they'll go online at the GuamMuseumFoundation.org, they can purchase their tickets to come and join us. Obviously, it's the fourth. It's a fundraising, but it's a fourth annual event at the museum.
I want to talk about tomorrow, Nanny, the setup down at Dusit Place. Oh, okay, that's... We had a casualty on a microphone. I was like, he got excited and knocked the microphone. No. This is not your fault. This is ours. Okay, you got it. Okay, we have sophisticated. You have to hold it. Sorry, we broke a microphone. Okay.
Do I need to do a fundraiser for you guys to get your new microphone?
Sore spot. Move on. No kidding. So
let me just tack something on what Joanne said. I mean, one of the visions I have is this: when this wall is up. And we're hoping it'll be up for 5 years. And we've raised money to sort of buy the time on the wall. And I just have this vision of, Rob talked about Taylor Gutierrez, and Gabe, meeting Gabe's great granduncle or whatever. And I have a vision of, they got married last year.
Oh.
Yeah. And that they would bring their kid. And Taylor can say that these pictures are your dad's great granduncle, and those pictures are my mom's mom. I know.
There's a lot of story there.
But the two and just say we brought these together.
Yeah.
And then to see their young boy or girl just be part of that ongoing.
Sure, absolutely. That's how it started. That's how it all starts.
But we knew that the typhoon postponed that unveiling, so we moved a little bit over to the Dusit place. Dusit asked me to do a quick art exhibit, and we decided to combine both. And then what happened was, it's like you want to wine and cheese and invite people after what they went through. And I talked to these young kids. I call them young, but at the Micronesia Climate Change Alliance. This is Monica Dioro, Art and Vera.
Yeah.
My Sinanya OGs and stuff, and they're just doing amazing stuff. When they had the typhoons here, I was involved with the diaspora, bringing goods back, shipping goods back to the islands, and they were always sort of the boots on the ground and stuff. So we reached out to them and said, I want to do this. Can I give half of the sale of the proceeds of my artwork for Luta type.
So you're doing a recovery as well, a fundraiser for recovery.
And we also, Dusit gave us the space, so if people wanted to bring food, wanted to bring water.
Good point. I'm getting a lot of people asking for that. Okay.
Please come by. We'll be open a little bit today, but we're opening tomorrow.
Okay.
So if you buy the art, 50% goes directly to Luta, and if you bring water and diapers and
mosquito
propane,
coil, there's a bunch of things.
Generators, and solar panels, or that's what we're doing. And they helped install the exhibit. We spent 2 days. We knocked it out. We're ready to go.
Wow.
And stuff. And who can you show you? And I kind of wanted to show you because it's kind of really hard to explain. But check these out, Patty. This is what here, I'll have you hold it. Can you hold it?
Yeah.
This is what
whoa.
Isn't that cool?
That is beautiful.
So all my photos are sort of in this tapestry.
Who is this?
That's Maxine.
Okay, well, here you can hold it up because there's a camera right in front of you. Yeah, turn it around there. Wow, that is beautiful.
And then in the back, what's really cool is that if you buy this, You can fold it up, put it in your luggage, and then when you go home, you can kind of, there's a real pocket there. So
yeah.
you can do it. And when we did the exhibit, we cut down some bamboo, we found some driftwood out in Taragi and stuff, and we kind of.
So you can hang it as a rod. I put a rod behind it.
Yeah, and it gives us.
That's
sort of this
beautiful.
full- and then we get some like, the lashings and canoes.
Right.
Can kind of use it to hold up. And stuff.
Look at
So
you, Manny.
Are they
That's-
selling
that's
those?
Actually,
Are those for sale?
yeah.
That's the point. We're selling them, and half of them, half
The proceeds will go to Luta Recovery. That is
And,
absolutely
I love that.
stunning. Oh, here's another one. Oh, look,
there's
that's
more.
the Guam Museum.
Oh,
That's
there's
beautiful.
more.
Wow. These are your photos
Correct.
that you've transformed into these. Wow.
And just feel it. I want people to touch it and feel it.
This is really well made, too.
Yeah.
This is beautiful.
And see how the weavings and the
Yeah.
textures kind of give the photos
I
a different.
like that. It really is. And these are recognizable photos of yours, obviously. Wow. That's
And,
beautiful.
We've already pre-sold some.
Okay.
These two are available. So.
Okay. How much
if
are
you-
they?
The smaller ones are 300.
Okay.
And then the bigger ones are 800, and we have
Okay.
a medium size that's
Oh,
500.
that's
we want to
beautiful.
keep it,
Affordable. Yeah.
yeah, and stuff. But
It's
I think
historical
I
art.
think one of these or both of these have your name on it.
Do they? Oh, you want me to buy that right now? Is that what you're saying? Good thing I
Before
brought my
somebody
wife.
else buys it, Patty.
Yeah, I
think,
know,
we're
apparently.
giving you first dibs.
Yeah. So,
I could see your checkbook in
yeah,
the purse
you
there.
can, can't you? So, when people go there tomorrow, will you have a number of these available
Yes,
for sale?
we
Okay.
have about 40, 50 pieces.
Uh-huh.
Again, we were setting up and people came by and we've already sold 4 pieces.
Oh, that's nice.
And
Very nice.
I feel bad, but the exhibit's only up for a day.
Yeah.
So
Let's talk about that because there's great expense that goes into this. You guys travel quite a bit. You'd gone to Frank's house first. I mean, that was an expense, and then clearly you're traveling around with the flag. So do you guys travel in threes like this, or you got to farm out the responsibilities? But someone is representing. So the money is to come from somewhere. I don't know if the Museum Foundation is a benefactor of this, but is it grant money, or are you just relying on people's?
Johnny's been amazing, and we buddy pass. So he's travels a lot in Southwest, so we do that. We make the books, so we generate some revenues or recover expenses from the books. But it's pretty much been a labor of love.
Yeah.
Rob puts in the time. It's just kind of like we want to do it now. We're not going to turn away. When we did the big exhibit in July, we did have wonderful support from GVB. We had GTA. We had Ambrose, and then and Guam Preservation Trust. And then at the Long Beach exhibit, we did a smaller version in Long Beach. Matson was a sponsor.
Oh, okay.
on that.
Well, you're getting some big names.
Yeah.
And plus, I think that you've captured the attention of the Guam Visitors Bureau, obviously, because they're collabing with you on things. So there's also funding available through the government of Guam.
Yeah.
Is that about right?
Well, we try.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
it's almost like if they, just getting them to support the stuff, and Nadine and Regine, they bought a couple of pieces, so it's hanging up in their offices. Some of this
nice.
stuff. So
Yeah.
it's.
I think every Gov Guam office should have one. To tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Well, I'm also digging the shirts. Now these are all photos, Mr. Buckman's photos, and that you've put onto shirts. Are those also for sale, or these are just
Yes,
tailor made for you?
I think they are. And
Okay.
in fact, when we had the exhibit in Long Beach, we had a QR code set up.
Oh, nice. Now, each of the pocket photos are of different people. Are these ones that you know? Now, first of all, who's that?
That's Frank.
That's Frank. Oh, wow. So you got the shirt. Oh, wow. And then, so you just...
The beautiful...
We're still trying to find out who this is.
Oh, these are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the photos we
Here, go ahead and give him the microphone. Sorry, Manny. Yeah.
Some of these photos, we're still trying to identify names, and again at the museum last July 2025, we had a number of people come through from the community who were able to help us identify photos, including, was it Frances Poppy who recognized herself?
Oh, wow.
There was a photo of her mother holding her when she was, I don't know, 3 or 4.
Oh, wow.
And standing next to her was her big sister. And so she walked into the museum and said, "Hey, that's me."
When they've identified themselves after seeing these many unknown photos that have now just appeared, when they're looking at them, they're identifying them immediately. And did they know this photo was being taken? Were some of them that he did candid? And then you have these sitting portraits as well. So back in a war-torn area, having somebody pose for a photo must have been a pretty big, and the way they're dressed, that doesn't say I'm in the middle of a war, right?
Well, there were some beautiful chamaritas. We asked Frank that.
Oh, I'm sure he took I saw those.
Yeah, Frank, wow, you shot all these pretty chamaritas. And he said, yeah, of course they were hot. No, he didn't say hot. He said they were very attractive.
Yeah, sure.
And he goes, of course, why not? Why wouldn't I shoot it?
Yeah.
But his other pictures, Patty, I mean, as a photographer, the quality of his work, the imagery is something that I can relate to, or something I enviously would want.
Yeah.
You know, he just captures the people. And I said, Frank, these Chamorro people have warmed up to you. I mean, you know,
yeah.
And that's not an easy thing. You know, somebody comes with a camera, they freeze up and whatever, but the faces of the people, and I think he went multiple times. When he's not shooting the plane crashes or the buildup or whatever, Frank is borrowing a Willys Jeep, driving down to the south or whatever, and just taking photos on his own time.
Those photos, the ones that I saw at the exhibit of the old, you know, I'm looking beyond the faces of the people because I obviously wouldn't recognize any of them. This cost of cigarettes. I'm looking at the items that were up for sale back in those days, and you would see the difference between what they had pre-war. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can investigate, what they were, items that you were to have for sale pre-war, and then what you were seeing that was up for sale. I mean, a lot of American cigarettes, a lot of American products that were at these small little makeshift homes, stores, just because people had the inventory, right? Making some money after it was a thriving economy after the war. Yeah, everybody needed something.
I mean, when I was going through these, and I spent months going through these, I was like, oh my God, is that my mom's? Is that my dad? Is that Auntie Loli? Is that Uncle Ma? You know, I mean, there was no way to tell.
Sure.
But, you know, just for me, you know, just because I spent a lot of time restoring and digitizing these photos and seeing them. And just
I was looking because Cristobal Duenas, my grandfather Martinez is a Duenas, and they're first cousins, or my mom's first cousins. And so when I saw Cristobal in that one wedding photo, I when I was a bullback is what they called him. I saw that photo. I said, "Boy, he looks a lot like my relative, right?" And then later on, I was like, "Oh, dang, that is my relative." but I think we see each other in these photos, and maybe it's an illusion, but we do find ourselves thinking that this is somebody that we've known. Is that kind of a natural thing to think that? Obviously, that
for me it is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
When you see the faces, you know, they look like a relative.
Yeah, exactly. So what does that say? Are we not so discerning about what we look like? Because I can smell a Chamorro at Ala Moana Shopping Center miles away. It's like a heat-seeking missile. So there's certainly qualities about our faces that suggest that we're from the islands, right? Or a bloodline. Yeah. Well, this is just awesome. I've always been, I've clearly been a fan since we had the first conversation. I think the work that you guys do, and now Joanne being part of the mix, I think that you guys are really onto something even bigger. I really believe that there's something larger about to happen to transform exactly what the mission is eventually to reach every single family of a survivor.
That's something. So the first book was mostly focused on the stories of the survivors.
Yeah.
The second book was focused on the Bookman collection and how all that came to be. So we're kind of struggling with
what's the next best thing.
Because we don't just want to keep retelling the same stories.
Sure.
So if any of your listeners out there have any ideas
on how this can transform into something, ultimately, what would be the goal? Ultimately, is to have everybody alive sign the book.
As many of the survivors that we can reach. We'd love to have them put their name on the flag, and then ultimately, there is going to be a book number 3. And in terms of the ultimate title, I trust in our Pulitzer Prize winning photojournalist and his creativity, as well as with Rob and
also award winning, acclaimed
investigative
reporter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I have some thoughts floating in my head, but I'm just an amateur amongst
You're just the
these,
guy with the
professionals.
name. You're guy with the name. Well, I appreciate you guys coming. Joan, it was really nice to meet you. I'm glad that I've met you. That we know that there is a group that supports the foundation that supports the museum.
Yep.
All the help that can be
And
needed.
again, the Bookman and the Honor Mall, you didn't mention that the Bookman had given us some funding to the foundation.
Oh, okay.
And it's from the Bookman Trust. But
Oh, nice.
and that's how the Honor Wall also comes to fruition, and the ability to put that
The
up.
investment that they're
yeah.
making.
So yeah, we remember I talked about Mike, Jane, the daughter of Frank Bookman. Came with her husband. They were here for a month and stuff, and then, Frank died on Memorial Day, just as in the book went. And then Mike and Jane we're coming. We're going to come back for this, and then Mike passes away. And then a week later, Jane celebrated her dad's first anniversary.
Wow.
So we're talking with Jane. She had her relatives come to the Long Beach exhibit opening to represent her and stuff. And we're doing this for them.
She probably was sitting on this collection her entire life, and then now it's become this thing that symbolizes everything we honor every single year. What did she feel like?
Well, when she talked last summer, I mean, I'm going to tear up saying it. It's like, he said, my dad said, do not mess with these photos. Do not give it away to Goodwill. These are very, very important. And he said, she's just so happy that they were in a basement in Pittsburgh for 80 years.
I just find that to be...
Back to the place where they belong.
I find that to be, that's not even serendipity. I think it's divine intervention that something like that happened. What and like you said, Rob, I don't know what the next big thing is, because over the years we've done the same exercise every year, is honoring survivors, and we find different ways that we can continue to memorialize this day. But to bring it on to these photos that have never been seen before.
And Patti, there's a really cool part, and Rob explained this, because Frank was really affected by meeting all the Chamorros in his short time here, and he imparted it to his family, and Rob can.
No, he just, what stuck with him all his life was how the Chamorros that he met after having gone through so much in the war, how they just appreciated, simple things, basic things, and their cohesion after going through such a horrible experience. So he said when he started a family, he tried to instill that same spirit in his family, because it just stuck with him forever.
Wow, that's
so
amazing.
Chamorro in Nafamalik went all the way to Pittsburgh.
That's all the corners of the earth is the plan. Yeah. Judge, is there anything? First of all, do you still have those season tickets, guys? This is for you.
I'm waiting for Dice to come.
That's what I told her.
I
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
And
She even came in 49 colors.
Absolutely.
49 colors.
Thank you. I
so,
appreciate that.
Whenever we're waiting.
Yeah. Can't be a championship game though.
Right. Yes, exactly. But Patty, we want to thank you for again everything that you do for the community, but also for giving us the opportunity to share this passion project with your audience and the people of Guam, because as you indicated last time we were on your radio show, you had people calling up saying, where can I go to have my parents or my grandparents sign the flag? And so thank you very much for helping get the word out to the community, and again, we're so very grateful.
Always, absolutely. My microphones are open, and now that Joanne's your boots on the ground, girl.
Yeah.
So I just want to remind everybody, August 11th at the museum, where we will unveil the honor wall.
Ask him to give you my number. I'll just and then you could text me, and we could talk about it as we get closer to get people down there.
And then Liberation Day, please come by
tomorrow.
And donate goods for Rhoda, buy art. The money goes goes to Rhoda, and then we would have the images of our Chamorro signers that signed the flags. We have a beautiful picture of all 323.
I love that. I love that. Rob, anything last you want to say?
No, just thanks a lot for your support.
Sure.
And we're looking forward to seeing people tomorrow.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys being here anytime. And how did you even wake up this morning after what you've been through this week? I mean, this weekend. So I was saying that you celebrated the 50th class reunion, multi-schools, 6.
Yeah.
I don't remember us getting along back in 1976. All the schools
Well,
voted.
you know what I found out, Patty? I still got the moves.
Do you? Were you on that dance floor?
Yeah.
I would live to see that. All of the 77ers were going, you guys want to crush this party? Do you want to crush this party? And I don't know how you pulled 6 schools together.
I crashed it.
Did you? Was it fun?
Yes,
I can
'cause
only imagine what
my
that looked
sister's
like.
a class of 76.
Oh, yeah. Who are your sisters? I'm sorry.
Nora Garces.
Okay.
She went to GW.
Oh, okay. I actually know her. I don't know how I do, but that's...
She, until recently, she ran the physical therapy department at GMH.
All right. Well, that's good. That's good to know. Well, I tell you, ours is next year, and we don't nearly have it as much together because I'm involved in the planning. So clearly, we're not going to get it together like you did. But congratulations. Yeah. 1976. Wow. Biba Liberation. Thanks, guys, so much. We're going to go ahead and take a break. A little bit late for the top of the hour. We're going to do it anyway. 901 KGUM-FM and Dedido, Guam.
KGUM-FM, Dedido, the talk of Guam. This is Wave 105.1 FM, a Glimpses media radio station.
Hungry and need gas? Mobile's got you covered. Now through July 31st, Mobile Smiles app members can enjoy a free 6-inch Subway sandwich with every minimum fill-up of $30 gas at any Guam mobile station. Available exclusively on the mobile app. It's an easy summer win. Fuel up, open the app, and enjoy the rewards. Not a member yet? Pick up a Mobile Smiles card at any mobile location and register today. Mobile and Subway, a great deal for the summer. See store for details.
It all connects. The girl who walks for hours to bring home the family's water, the school she can't attend most days, the breakfast she didn't have, the rain that hasn't fallen in months, the danger around the next bend, her little brother's belly laugh, her mother's hug, her dreams of being a teacher, an engineer, the mayor. All the reasons life is both so hard and so beautiful. It all connects. But so do we, for children's sakes. At Child Fund, we connect through everything we do, together, so every child can grow up healthy, educated, and safe. Because we need each other. Learn more at childfund.org.
As a parent, you said you'd never give up the convertible.
Look, the van even has its own vacuum.
You said you'd never stop listening to your music.
Do your happy dance, do your happy dance, yeah.
You said you'd never schedule your life around a stuffed animal.
Nobody panic. Bun Bun is still at daycare.
You said you'd never give in to demands.
2 kids' meals. And a chocolate shake.
And never put them in harm's way.
I'll be right back, little man. Just gonna pop in the store for diapers.
But never happens. And no amount of time is okay to leave your child in a car by themselves.
Long line today.
Temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you every time you park the car. Stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Many of our U.S. veterans and service members face challenges: mental health struggles, housing obstacles, employment, food insecurity, and social isolation, to name just a few. I'm Bob Woodruff. My family and I started the Bob Woodruff Foundation in 2006 after I sustained a life-threatening injury while reporting from Iraq. Our service members had my back that day, and we need to have theirs now more than ever. At the Bob Woodruff Foundation, we raise awareness about the tough challenges veterans and military families face and invest in solutions to help support them in the next chapter of their lives. And with one solution comes the next. We solve a housing situation, we increase employment opportunities. We solve employment problems, we address food insecurity. We solve food insecurity, we impact physical and mental health issues. Learn more about our work at bobwoodrufffoundation.org/success.
My name is Erica. My son, Kason, is a patient at Shriners Children. My oldest called me and said Kason got burnt. The trauma doctor came in and said he needs to go to Shriners.
His injury was a big injury, and I think a testament to the care that we provide. He's fully functional. He's riding his dirt bike, doing all of the things that you would want him to do.
We're just so thankful that Kaysen is still here.
Go online right now to loveshriners.org.
We are all for first-time guests and longtime friends. All for First Light and Starlight. For road trips and trail runs. All for mountaintops and monuments. River bends and battlefields. We're all for showing up and giving back. To protect, to preserve, to pass it on. All parks depend on us, and we're all for parks. Join us at nationalparks.org/allforparks.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. Let their story unfold and gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. Hire skills first. Learn why at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
A message from Joshua Jackson, actor and Fair Volunteer Ambassador.
Food allergy is a serious, life-threatening disease that impacts over 33 million Americans. When your immune system sees certain food proteins as a threat, every bite matters. But here's the good news. There have been advancements in the treatment of food allergies, and with one voice, we can create better awareness. Because in the FAIR community, the disease doesn't own us. We own our journey. Talk to an allergist to understand your options. Visit foodallergy.org/empower to learn more.
Unwrapping a classic childhood favorite today as we uncover how a simple candy on a stick became an adult pop culture sensation. Welcome to the National Day Spotlight for July 20th.
National Lollipop Day is a nostalgic look back at the simple, colorful, hard candies we all enjoyed when we were kids. But during the 1970s, the humble sucker underwent a cultural renaissance. It happened thanks to a hit television crime drama starring actor Telly Savalas as the cynical New York detective lieutenant Theo Kojak. The show's writers decided to give the gritty detective a Tootsie Pop as a signature character trait, using the candy as a clever visual tool to show him trying to quit smoking cigarettes on the job. The gimmick was a massive success, causing global lollipop sales to skyrocket among adults who copied his style to kick their own habits. It's a story about how one tough-as-nails TV detective turned an ordinary playground candy into a Hollywood icon.
Love you, baby. Okay, that's a pretty cool story, actually. I don't remember watching that show. Did you?
Well, I don't remember watching it, but I have seen pictures of Telly Savalas
with the lollipop.
With the lollipop.
Yeah.
Many, many times, actually.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We are also celebrating National Moon Day and National Fortune Cookie Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Founded in the early days of the web and still going strong today, Pair Networks now hosts over 150,000 websites for its demanding customers worldwide. Setting the standards for excellence, Pair Networks has a technical and support staff that's second to none. A highly stable company with top-of-the-line technology, Pair Networks offers total reliability and flexibility for your website, and even a money-back guarantee. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Make the move today. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks. World-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
More than radio, it's Guam's group chat, Wave 105. Join the conversation. Glimpses Media.
Hungry and need gas? Mobile's got you covered. Now through July 31st, Mobile Smiles app members can enjoy a free 6-inch Subway sandwich with every minimum fill-up of $30 gas at any Guam mobile station. Available exclusively on the mobile app. It's an easy summer win. Fuel up, open the app, and enjoy the rewards. Not a member yet? Pick up a Mobile Smiles card at any mobile location and register today. Mobile and Subway, a great deal for the summer. See store for details.
Hafaday, Guam! The Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association invites you to the Fair Trade Show, Guam's premier hospitality and food service event. Join us August 19th and 20th at the Hyatt Regency Guam from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Experience hands-on training sessions and exciting culinary competitions featuring professionals, apprentices, and pastry talent. Discover new products, connect with suppliers, and celebrate Guam's hospitality industry. Don't miss Fair 2026. Visit ghra.org for details.
When Guam is not heard in Washington, our families pay the price. We pay it in higher costs, in housing that feels out of reach, in food assistance put at risk, in our Manamco and neighbors with disabilities still waiting for benefits they've earned. Mary Camacho Torres is running to change that. She'll fight to lower costs, deliver fairness for our veterans and downwind communities, and make sure Guam finally has a voice that's heard. This election, vote Mary Camacho Torres for Congress, #1 on the ballot.
I'm Mary Camacho Torres, and I approve this message.
Paid for by the Torres for Congress Committee.
The road to Adelup is in full swing. We recently spoke with Democrat candidates Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and Senator Tina Munilla Barnes to learn more about their vision for Guam. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 26th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. This is a glimpse of Guam radio station.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
Stay informed, stay connected. Wave 105, the talk of Guam.
105.1 The Wave is the talk of Guam. Keep the day moving right here on Mornings with Patti.
I'm the spark in the room when the bass go boom.
Yeah. I'm the spark in the room when the bass go boom. Yes, indeed. Feeling the love in the studio this morning with those, the wonderful folks in the studio. I just really enjoy the conversation. Whenever Johnny reaches out to me and says, "Hey, we're coming to Guam, can you?" I'm like, "Bro, it's a given." I enjoy the conversation. I enjoy the conversation because it is different than the conversations we have around this time. And I might say something controversial here, but the fact of the matter is that when we have been talking about something happening for the past 82 years, and most notably, the past several decades, where we've been telling these stories and we've been talking about it, and we've been maybe at the reluctance or absolute refusal of people who actually went through the occupation, we have to wear that as a badge. We have to separate ourselves from the rest of the country when it comes to recognizing what the people of Guam went through at that time. And sometimes it falls into a less impressive story when you're telling it to the same people. And that's the controversial part of it. I don't mean to discount the sentiments and the memories that are held as traumatic as they are, but sometimes we tell these stories to ourselves. And over the years, after hearing all of these stories, then you go, "I know it, right? I heard that story before. I heard that story." I think it, and I'm going to call it divine serendipitous guidance intervention. But the fact that there was a chance that somebody talked about, a photo and they saw it, and then somebody had the discerning eye to go, hey, that looks like me. Hey, I wonder if my grandmother knows. And it turns out being a relative catapulted this box of unknown photos that sat in someone's possession since the mid 1940s, when you had a serviceman who came to Guam and found on his own personal time the opportunity to just snap photos of a war-torn island that I'm sure the rest of the United States didn't know about that was happening. They knew about Pearl Harbor because that was Hawaii. And go a little further. Did you know what was happening on U.S. soil at that same time? Or, did you know what was happening while we were under this possession? No, they didn't. And to hear it now, how many 80 some years later, is kind of a jaw-dropping moment. So the fact that they uncovered yet another facet of remembrance, and with Manny, like you said, and the research done by Rob and Judge Gogo having a personal interest in all of this, sort of means something different now. For me, it does, because I heard these stories over the years, and I've been in the media to see what other media is doing to preserve these memories with their stories and their articles and their photos. This hit differently during the 80th because they found this box of photos, and everybody was running to see who they were, because we've seen some of the regular stuff. We've seen some of the whatever stock photos that are available. These were not seen before. So they were jarring people's memories. People were seeing themselves. I mean, I can't imagine. Well, I can't imagine, because I did see my relatives in these photos, and these old photos that I'd never seen before. And I did catch a glimpse of, hey, that looks like my uncle. That looks like my auntie. That looks, is that my grandparents' relatives? To see these people alive, I mean, in these photos, to see them alive, and especially when these photos were taken in a war-torn island, you would never guess, because they had women. Oh, yeah, okay, you had affinity for females, and they were beautiful, and of course you would want to take their pictures, but nothing about these photos suggested that life on this island was devastating for people. And that just, you look at him, you go, really? I don't feel the war in these photos. I don't see it. What are you talking about? There's off camera, they may have this beautiful photo of, several people that were standing for this photo, but they were standing amongst rubble at the time, which when you see photos like this, it's just, it's weird, the irony, right? Dressed up and in celebratory mood with your best friends in the photo, and, behind you is devastation and rubble. It's kind of, it's weird. It was kind of weird, but I love the stories. I love hearing it. I love being part of the getting people to hear the story. And I think that these guys are just great. And the fact that they get their expense are able to come to Guam and do all of that is amazing. So that kind of puts, almost immediately after I had these guys on the air, it comes the story that was sent to me a little while ago, that there is an effort that's taking place by a representative in Congress, H.R. 9724, and it's called the End Birthright Citizenship for Territories Act. It was introduced by Representative Morgan Griffith, who is a Republican out of Virginia, that amends federal law that automatically recognizes people born in Puerto Rico, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the CNMI as U.S. citizens. To end the guarantee that if you were born in any of these places, territories, or Commonwealth, after January 1st of 2027, you can't rely on automatic U.S. citizenship. The legislation. This is it. Here's part of the article. Relying on the Insular Cases and Territory Clause, this legislation explains that Congress has the power to legislate with respect to the U.S. territories, including citizen status, emphasizing that Congress has the inherent authority to change statutes relating to citizenship of persons born in the territories. Representative Griffin, in her release, said this is the Trump versus Barber case that she's referring to, which happened in Supreme Court. There's a big difference. But she claims that the Barber case leaves the door open for congressional action on citizenship in the American territories, just like Congress possesses the power to grant the territories constitutional rights in statute. We have the power to take them away in statute. Neil Weir, who is the co-director of Right to Democracy, local boy from Agate, has now runs a nonprofit organization. He's a lawyer. Says this dangerous and unconstitutional legislation highlights the problem with the insular cases and the idea that Congress has the power to simply turn constitutional rights on and off at will in the U.S. territories. He served as counsel of record in the amicus brief filed in the Barbara case on behalf of 21 current and former officials from U.S. territories that argued against the idea that citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment permits Congress to unilaterally deny citizenship to people born in the United States. And he was actually in those proceedings when the Supreme Court made that ruling earlier this year. He said, this is a concern we've been warning about for a long time, and here it is in black and white. The proposed legislation says it shall not be construed to affect the citizenship or nationality of a person born in the U.S. territories who is born as a child of the United States citizen or the child of an alien lawfully admitted for permanent residence in the United States. The proposed amendments to federal statute are sweeping and could mean that anyone born in a U.S. territory beginning in January of 2027 would no longer be recognized as a U.S. citizen, indeed may not be a citizen of anywhere. You're basically born stateless because you have nowhere to go. You're not backed by the United States, and there's no citizenship of Guam. While Representative Griffith says his legislative intent is to focus on addressing so-called birth tourism, the actual text of the legislative amendments does not contain any limited language and could deny citizenship to anyone born in a territory moving forward. It doesn't, while they're concerned about people from, which we have had, birth tourism is that we've had people come in from Asia. They spend their last couple of months pregnant in Guam with the intent of having their baby in Guam so that they would automatically become U.S. citizens. This legislative proposal comes on the heels of Vice President J.D. Vance stating on the Laura Ingraham show the day of the Barber decision that he thought the idea of limiting birthright citizenship in U.S. territories by executive action was a great idea, and that we're certainly looking at that. He was responding to a proposal from a senior official at the Heritage Foundation, which is a Republican think tank in Washington, D.C., who argued, based on the insular cases, that U.S. territories are not auto-bound by the 14th Amendment. Addie Martinez Roman, who's the co-director of Right to Democracy, she works in collaboration with Neil Weir, also a frequent guest on this show, and she's from Puerto Rico, says the question of federal power over citizenship in U.S. territories is not a partisan or ideological issue. It is one of fundamental rights in a democracy. As the amicus brief we filed shows, leaders from U.S. territories are coming together to oppose these kind of unilateral federal actions, whether they are Democrats or Republicans, and whether they support statehood, independence, free association, or other status options. She says the legislation is also especially troubling because it seeks to unilaterally amend the citizenship provisions negotiated in the Northern Mariana Islands Covenant, which under Public Law 94-241 required mutual consent to change. This is just the kind of federal action the covenant was negotiated to prevent. The legislation is a direct consequence of previous presidents, both Republicans and Democrats, arguing in favor of a broad congressional power to deny citizenship to people born in U.S. territories despite the clear command of the Citizenship Clause. Too often, leaders in the territories have themselves remained silent on this issue. Let me read that again. Too often, leaders in the territories have themselves remained silent on this issue. This is an eye-opening moment, and we will continue fighting to ensure constitutional limits on federal power apply in both states and territories alike. Wow. So what do you... If enacted as written, again, the proposed End Birthright Citizenship for Territories Act, or H.R. 9724, would be one of the most significant changes to the legal relationship between the United States and its territories in more than a century, and affects directly Guam, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the CNMI. So basically, if you have a child that was born in Guam, beginning January 1st of next year, you would no longer automatically be recognized as a U.S. citizen at birth under what there are existing federal statutes, unless there's another source of citizenship applied. That's legal entry through one of the many alien and other permanent resident statuses that you can get. According to critics, the bill's actual language does not contain the exceptions described in Griffin's release, creating uncertainty about who would qualify. So that means parents no longer assume that the child that's born in Guam would receive U.S. citizenship automatically. And then, of course, if you have a newborn, one of the first things they do inside the hospital is make sure that you have a Social Security application. That would affect getting a passport for your kid. That would affect you having a Social Security number, which at birth, every child born in America is assigned. And then there are other federal benefits that if you are ineligible because you're not a U.S. citizen, that you would, you would be ineligible for a number of programs and funds that are available to families that come within a certain socioeconomic status. And then again, we say, they become stateless. If they're not automatically recognized as citizens of the U.S. Or any other country, then they really have nowhere to go. This is different. This is different than the Trump versus Barbara case that was held in the Supreme Court, that the 14th Amendment does actually protect birthright citizenship in the United States. The unresolved issue, according to Neil Weir, he's not fighting for this, but he's maintaining that this is dangerous territory. What's not resolved yet is whether unincorporated territories like Guam are considered in the United States for the purposes of the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause. Congress has long granted citizenship here, as well as in other territories like Puerto Rico. This is done through federal law. This is done through the statutes that are policed by Congress. And this is not based on, this is what makes it different. It's not based on a Supreme Court ruling that the Constitution requires, itself requires this. So this is what the statute, this is what exactly that the statutory basis of which HR, 9724 is trying to change. It just feels like we're going backwards. The impact on our residents' ability to vote after moving from Guam over to the States, being employed by the federal government, not being an automatic U.S. citizen, not having a passport in the United States, being born on Guam, not having an immigration status that allows you as an American born in Guam to travel freely or to immigrate into the United States. And then, of course, the eligibility for many of the federal programs that were offered. This is just a devastating idea. And I'm pretty sure that, as we come upon right now where we are in the liberation of Guam, when we talk about the sacrifices that are made by everybody made American citizens after the war, it really just puts it's another slap in the face. So, yeah, you know what? As every person who is in Congress or running for Congress as a candidate, I implore you to ask that question. Ask them the question. H.R. 9724 has won the attention of Mary Torres, who is running for Congress. She says, this bill is exactly why I joined the amicus brief on Trump versus Barber earlier this year. Congress is now attempting to decide by ordinary legislation who is and is not a citizen in the territories. For Guam, the stakes are clear. Our citizenship was granted by Congress through statute. If they can redefine citizenship for one group, a future Congress can try to narrow or take away what it was once granted to us. Birthright citizenship should be a bright line constitutional law rule, not something that changes with congressional majorities, administrations, or political preferences. Critics dismissed the concern by saying no one was coming for Guam's citizenship. This bill proves that the vulnerability we identified is real and already being tested. Our delegate claims he has friends in Congress, but where was that influence when Guam actually needed it? Our people deserve a representative who understands what is at stake and has the courage to speak clearly and forcefully. For Guam, we deserve the full promise of American citizenship, equal in dignity, equal in protection, and secure for generations to come. It's just amazing that in 2026 we're talking about this. Rand Kaufman joins us on the line. Hey, Rand.
Hi, Patti. Thank you for that eloquent explanation of what's going on. The next time we see Manny, you see him before I do. It's the next book should be what the children were doing during this time of Japanese occupation. What kind of toys they were playing with, what were their activities? Any pictures of it all that would all be children doing whatever, and as amazing of what children do. But I think that would be the third book. During this occupation time, and then of course the liberation, and we might be able to get some good information from because that's who the survivors are now, who were the children, right? The last of the Mohicans, so to speak, right? Who were the survivors of all the crazy things that went on, but the innocence of the child. I think that would be a beautiful book. And
that's that's all. The psychology of that as well. Watching these photos, and some of these photos from Mr. Bookman's collection will show you. I don't know if you've been able to see it when it was on display last year, but a lot of these photos that had children were candid photos that were taken by Bookman when he went around the island, and he spent a lot of time in the South photographing beautiful women down south, which is not going to be any topic of concern because they were certainly gorgeous women that were survivors of that time. You wouldn't even notice it because they were all still really coiffed and dressed to kill, and
right.
and amongst rubble that showed that there was a war happening. But of the photos that he took down south, there's one in particular that I remember. It was several teenagers and maybe some smaller children, maybe around the age of 6 or 7 years old. Their job was to do what the family needed to survive. Remember that
right.
So my parents were also, my Uncle Ray was 6 months old, so he was still an infant. My dad was about 10, 11, 12 years old, as was my mom. They both came from the same village, but they were definitely families apart, where it was about survival. It wasn't about thinking that you were going to go to the prom or what was going to happen next in your social life, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot, the lost childhood teenage group that grew up during that time, for my parents, it was a matter of survival. And we were raised under that same sort of concept that any minute something could be taken away. And I don't mean by hoarding, and I don't mean by greed. I mean by preparation. So,
or like, just survival.
yeah,
of it.
exactly.
Right,
And
sure.
I grew up in the 60s and 70s. We weren't thinking about whether we were going to get a next meal. That wasn't even part of the fabric of our lives. I was worried about the Cold War, to tell you the truth. We were doing gas mask exercises in class because the Russians were ready to blow us up. But their whole mindset was preparation. All my mother's life in raising 5 children instilled in us, be ready for anything and everything. And plus that, don't be picky. Don't be picky about what's given to you, and don't demand something that isn't yours yet.
There you go.
So
the resiliency was born within that generation. Absolutely, if not more so, right? I mean, trends down. I'm just thinking about the innocence of the child. Maybe the 3 or 4 year old, right? You know, the ones who don't quite grasp everything that's going on, nor do the parents want them to grasp it in that innocence.
Well, I guess then I should ask you, when a child is born into poverty, right, or they're born into a war scenario, they don't have a life to compare it to, right? And today we can see that children, the haves and the have-nots, are definitely displayed in advertising or in the news. They're seeing what it is to be or to not have something, right? So these kids grew up not knowing anything but survival. So they weren't pining for something that they didn't know was there. But it was still traumatic when you look back at it later. My parents never said, oh my God, we almost died, or this, that happened. They knew pulling together was the only thing they had to do, and they had nothing else to compare it to until my father grew up and became an airman in the Air Force and took my mother off the island for the first time in her life.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like the child with a doll, or whether or not, one of the little kids, has a little pretend toy or a little plane in the sand, or just that real innocence, kind of a natural thing. I know what I see. I don't see any prejudices. I don't see anything like that at this early childhood. The 3 and 4 year olds, right? Everybody seems to get along. Nobody cares about what anybody looks like, or whatever. It's just this innocence that emerges, and I wonder if, in fact, any of that could be displayed, from Manny's or gathering of these pictures, from this, and who else was doing that was Hubbard. He was here. Ron Hubbard. He took some pictures.
Ron
too.
L. Hubbard.
Yeah.
Was he here?
Yes, he was here. He did some things down in Mauricio. He has some pictures. I think his dad worked for something with the State Department here or something, but his whole thing was his diversification, that he was here in Asia, and he got to travel throughout Asia, and that was what he got a lot of his feelings, Scientology, and some of his other things he kind of came up with was from his experience when he was here. Yeah, there's some pictures that he took too.
Okay, you know what? Does anybody have childhood toys or pictures of things that children are going to play? If they're not going to, if they may not have had, dolls and the like, but they certainly found things in the boonies to play with sticks and stones
that's what
and
I'm
leaves.
saying. That would be just an exquisite innocence of displaying, this the resiliency just naturally of the human species in the childhood body, right? I mean, it'd be pretty amazing. It's Patti, it's like the white man's last stand here is what's going on. With this, if you're not a white Anglo-Saxon, you're not, period. It's this crazy thing that people are going through in this political realm right now in 2026, 2027. But it's about to end. It's really about to end. 2040, the Caucasian will be the minority in America. Habla Espanol is what it is, and these guys are just trying to make their last stand.
Are you concerned? Are you concerned about your white Anglo-Saxon male status in your world, Rand?
Well, no, I haven't been. My Guamanian species here within me, right, is pretty acclimated to this is where humans teaching humans how to be human. This is the apex of the planet as far as I'm concerned. The Mariana Islands. I mean, you've traveled, I've traveled. I haven't seen any peoples that have a better relationship within themselves and around them with the balance of what the third dimension is all about. The Republicans, Democrats, pro-choice, pro-life, all those things on a superficial level. But once you get into any kind of higher consciousness relationship among the people within the Marianas, it's the brotherhood, it's the sisterhood, it's brother me, sister me, and how we take care of each other. There's no place like it, as far as I can tell. I don't know.
I can tell. You haven't been a white Anglo-Saxon male since you got here.
Well, when I landed, man, I moved in with Tommy Okada, and I'm going, whoa, this is nuts. Radio Barragata,
Absolutely.
I'm all Youth Incorporated, we're doing concerts and, we stopped gangs, man. Guam and Island in Harmony stopped gangs here.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful experience for me. And I in October of 1969, I had a death experience, and then I was here in December of 1969, just a month and a half after that death experience, and I came, with this consciousness, this kind of cosmic Christ-like consciousness after that death experience, and I was just amazed. This is exactly where I was supposed to be, and no doubt, here I am.
Well, and you're here for a long time. Rand, always appreciate your perspective. Thanks so much for calling in.
Love you.
Love you too.
You take care. Happy liberation.
Biba.
Biba.
Guaidza. That's Rand Kaufman. He's the host of Edge of Heaven, where he sort of waxes philosophical every time I talk to him. It's like another dimension of his spirituality that I absolutely enjoy from that world. It is 9:41, a little bit late, but we had a lot to say, so we'll take a break. Then you breathe. We'll be right back.
Hafaday, Guam! The Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association invites you to the Fair Trade Show, Guam's premier hospitality and food service event. Join us August 19th and 20th at the Hyatt Regency Guam from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Experience hands-on training sessions and exciting culinary competitions featuring professionals, apprentices, and pastry talent. Discover new products, connect with suppliers, and celebrate Guam's hospitality industry. Don't miss Fair 2026. Visit GHRA.org for details.
When Guam is not heard in Washington, our families pay the price. We pay it in higher costs, in housing that feels out of reach, in food assistance put at risk, in our Manamco and neighbors with disabilities still waiting for benefits they've earned. Mary Camacho Torres is running to change that. She'll fight to lower costs, deliver fairness for our veterans and downwind communities, and make sure Guam finally has a voice that's heard. This election, vote Mary Camacho Torres for Congress, #1 on the ballot.
I'm Mary Camacho Torres, and I approve this message.
Paid for by the Torres for Congress Committee.
The road to Adelup is in full swing. We recently spoke with Democrat candidates Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and Senator Tina Munilla Barnes to learn more about their vision for Guam. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 26th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. This is a glimpses of Guam radio station.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
Stay informed, stay connected. Wave 105, the talk of Guam.
Introducing the all-new Subway Wraps. Now you can make any footlong a wrap. Light, delicious, and satisfying without weighing you down. Subway Wraps make fueling your day easier than ever with bold flavors and fresh ingredients. Try the cheesy garlic steak wrap today. Subway, eat fresh, feel good.
Guam is building the future, and the right conversations start here. SAME Guam Post invites you to the 2026 Industry Forum happening July 28 through 30 at the Dusitani Resort. Join military, government, and industry leaders as they come together to discuss Guam's future in infrastructure, resilience, and regional growth. This premier event connects you to Guam's next generation of infrastructure. Registration is open. Visit GuamIndustryForum.com. The 2026 SAME Industry Forum, delivering Indo-Pacific readiness.
Our critically injured veterans and first responders are left behind every day because of inadequate wheelchairs. That's why Wheelchairs for Warriors is on a mission to serve America's heroes across the nation and provide them with custom-fit wheelchairs tailored to fit their needs, to ensure they're rejoining their lives at the highest level of independent mobility and function possible. From lightweight daily use chairs or adaptive sports chairs to all-terrain wheelchairs to get these warriors outdoors. Wheelchairs for Warriors serves those who've served us. To join their mission, visit their website at wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
The road to Adelup is here, and this time we spoke with Democrat candidates, Senator Torius Terlahi and Senator Sabina Perez. Here is your opportunity to hear how they plan to govern Guam. Watch the conversation on Wave 105's YouTube channel, dated May 28th. This is a glimpse of Guam radio station.
Unwrapping a classic childhood favorite today as we uncover how a simple candy on a stick became an adult pop culture sensation. Welcome to the National Day Spotlight for July 20th.
National Lollipop Day is a nostalgic look back at the simple, colorful, hard candies we all enjoyed when we were kids. But during the 1970s, the humble sucker underwent a cultural renaissance. It happened thanks to a hit television crime drama starring actor Telly Savalas as the cynical New York detective lieutenant Theo Kojak. The show's writers decided to give the gritty detective a Tootsie Pop as a signature character trait, using the candy as a clever visual tool to show him trying to quit smoking cigarettes on the job. The gimmick was a massive success, causing global lollipop sales to skyrocket among adults who copied his style to kick their own habits. It's a story about how one tough-as-nails TV detective turned an ordinary playground candy into a Hollywood icon.
Love you, baby.
Okay, that's
You're
pretty
beautiful.
cool story, actually. I don't remember watching that show. Did you?
Well, I don't remember watching it, but I have seen pictures of Telly Savalas
with the lollipop.
With the lollipop.
Yeah.
Many, many times, actually.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We are also celebrating National Moon Day and National Fortune Cookie Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Founded in the early days of the web and still going strong today, Pair Networks now hosts over 150,000 websites for its demanding customers worldwide. Setting the standards for excellence, Pair Networks has a technical and support staff that's second to none. A highly stable company with top-of-the-line technology, Pair Networks offers total reliability and flexibility for your website, and even a money-back guarantee. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Make the move today. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks. World-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
Conversations that matter. Community that listens. Wave 105, the Talk of Guam. A Glimpse's media radio station.
Thanks for breakfast.
Absolutely. Thank
Thank you.
I had a banana muffin that Sandy Yao made, and I brought 2 of them, and I had one of them.
Yummy.
And then Laura came in and brought like an array of flavored banana breads. Those are very nice. Mini breads, very nice.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks,
And then
guys.
Dice comes rolling through with one of my favorite omelets, all vegetable spinach, and it has some bacon in it. That's a surprise. I hadn't had that. And she put added extra mushrooms,
There
fresh
we go.
mushrooms.
Bam, bam. That's how we're doing it.
I could jam a vegetable omelet, man.
Yummy.
Thanks for
It's
breakfast.
great. It's
I really
great.
needed
It's
that.
great.
I was telling her that I ate a little bit of pasta last night, and then I said I'll eat something later, but nobody had the appetite after watching Obsession.
Pasta's like one of those dishes you can put in the refrigerator and eat it later. And it's just
Yeah, but
as
the thing about it
delicious.
is that, I mean, I don't mean to cast any shade on
Go
your
for it.
food choices, but Dice will take a fork and eat it out of
sure
the
will.
refrigerator
100%.
without heating it up.
100%.
Cold cheese and everything. I am
betcha.
gagging.
You
I
betcha.
see her eating fried chicken.
You betcha.
And I see her
Yes,
eating
I
cold
will.
Yes,
Yes, I
and I'm
will.
like, babe, let me just heat it up for you.
No,
She's
no,
like,
no,
no.
no, no.
I go, let me just make it hot for you.
I'm
Nope.
good. Nope, I'm good. Thank you. I'm perfectly fine.
Well,
with
you know,
it.
I've always admired
okay.
people who
That's
could
okay.
eat cold food
That's all right.
because there's no foo-foo thing about it.
Ain't nothing foo-foo about that.
I went to my friend's daughter's baby shower.
Friend's daughter's baby shower. Okay.
They had
yes.
spaghetti. It was an outdoor party in their garage. I went
Nice.
and I was a little bit late to the
Okay.
party. And then she said, come eat. And I'm like, okay, I got the spaghetti. And I turned to her and I made one of the biggest social faux pas. I said to her, do you guys have a microwave? And she looked at me.
Hey.
She looked at me and she's like, you want me to microwave this?
I'm following. Okay.
I'm like, well, I'm not going to eat it raw and cold. And she's like, wow, how are we even friends?
Hey, nothing wrong.
And then I felt shamed that I did that. So now I just don't eat. Because I felt so ashamed of asking for the food to be heated up. Isn't that mean?
No,
that was
it's
so
not.
dumb. I shouldn't
No,
have
it's
done
not.
that.
It's your preference. It's what, and you know what? It's your preference, Patty. There's nothing wrong with that. I can do the same thing. Churrasco leftovers, man. I be eating that too. Oh yeah.
Cold meat like that?
I can do it. No, because you know, then you get a little pasta on it. Just mix it all together. Boom.
Gross.
I created a churrasco pasta.
Well, I'm down for that, but not cold.
You know what I mean? Get the. Oh no.
Oh, you heat that up. Okay.
I mean, at least the
I'm just telling you that Dice goes and she eats at these places that I haven't been to in a long time or ever. And she's like, yeah, check this out. So I'm eating these foods based on the reason she told me to go to Majesty Chinese restaurant.
Yummy.
She took all of these photos of it. She told me to go.
Gotta go there.
And I
guys.
went and I was like, dang, this is good. She told me to go to Boonies.
Boonies.
I went to Boonies and I ate all of their
Dollar wings.
Yeah, their dollar wings.
where
And
you
I
gonna
think I had
find
a
your-
burger, which was really good.
Wings for $1.
She told me to go to what do you call it?
Gotta go.
Eggs and Things.
Eggs and things. That's
She
another
she
gal.
brought food in from Eggs and Things. It was like a full-on loco moco.
Yummy, yummy.
It was so dang
Eggs
good. I
and Things.
regret the vegetable omelet
Eggs and
because that loco moco looks really darn good. It was good. And I said, and you got the extra gravy, so bruh.
Yeah. And then
Eggs
they
and
get a-
Things knows how to do the gravy.
French toast is also really delicious. You got to take your boy there. Take him there.
I
French
thought
toast,
about it because
I think
yesterday
he
we
might
went to
like some-
mass, and I
yeah.
was like, "What do you guys want to eat?"
Hopefully, he likes something on the menu.
Oh, he will.
Yeah.
Oh, for
hopefully
sure.
There's something there. Yeah. I think
Yeah,
he might like
maybe
that.
tomorrow for breakfast on
Right?
Liberation
Give
Day. I'll
that-
take
give
them all
that a
there.
shot. Yes, have some breakfast.
So
with
that
me.
happened. So then I went to Eggs and Things. Like she gave it to me on a Friday, and then on Sunday I was there.
Hey,
So
yummy.
if I'm showing up, now I got to go to the West End because
Yes.
the dinner buffet is the thing.
That's the thing. That is.
So is there anything else I should? Churrasco. Now I need to go to Churrasco, gang, because I haven't been to Churrasco.
Roots. How about Roots? Do you like?
She went to Roots,
Roots,
too.
Roots.
The last time I had dinner
Roots.
at Roots was
Guam
April of
Plaza?
last year.
Right, Plaza Hotel. Yes.
Yes.
And it's down the street from your house.
I
dude.
tell you, I mean,
Yes.
so these are now your. So if you want to advertise,
I'm sorry.
it's because Dice is going to your place and then coming back and telling me what the outside world is doing, and because she has actually
I like
pretty good
it.
taste buds,
Yummy.
except for the cold stuff.
Except for the cold stuff.
I'm gonna have to hit Churrasco.
Churrasco. Yes. Churrasco. Yes. That's good too. Oh my God.
Maybe
yes.
in honor of Argentina that lost the World Cup today by a score of 1-0. So that hurts. So that hurts. Spain walks away with all of the marbles.
And they got it all. They took it all. Great job. It was a great season. I didn't realize how huge soccer is, Patty. I mean, when you got 350,000 countries all competing, it's
yeah.
when are they coming back? Because that was kind of fun when you guys visit us. It's kind of fun.
So true. They had a blast, and I was just while you were running out
They discovered ranch dressing in America.
Yeah,
so I'm
and
not
when you
mad at
they
that.
not only that, but they also discovered like the large portions of food. No wonder Americans are so fat.
I love that.
Because we're just eating 3 times more than they do in Europe.
I know, and they're like, "Look, America, we owe you guys an apology." You think? Yes,
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. It's
Yeah,
not
we're
too
ready
bad
for
over
it.
here.
Bring it. Bring
not
those
so bad
apologies.
out
We're
here.
open.
It's not bad, guys. Come on over, try our dishes.
So, what are you doing tomorrow for Liberation
Tomorrow,
Day?
you know what, Patty? I got a lot of fish to clean tonight. So we're fish cleaning, shrimp cleaning. I know I'm going to get poked a lot.
Oh, you are going to get poked.
I'm going to get hit. Well, yeah, I don't like cleaning
I don't like cleaning shrimp. I can clean a fish though. I know all of the organs in a fish, and I know how to clean. I could do a fish.
And you don't discover it until you're making finadeni, and you notice when you're squeezing lemon, your hands just get. Why are my hands burning?
And you're screaming because the lemon just went into your open wound.
Yes. It's like
For real. For
I don't
real.
want to squeeze any more lemons. You squeeze the lemons. Yes. So some grilling. Seafood, right?
Yum.
All right, we got some pulled pork. There's going to be some ribs. You know what I mean? Got some steaks going on the grill.
Nice.
You know what? Standard backyard barbecues.
I love
we're
it.
going to be doing, guys. Backyard barbecues, and we'll just hope none of the kids drown because
Oh dear God! Don't say
I
that.
hope so. Kids are kids. Look, kids. Are
But they're
be
not
kids.
going to drown.
Yeah, I
so-
hope not. I hope not.
Somebody got to keep an eye.
Yeah, well, some need 4 on them. Like, is that your child? Dude, he just backflip. Just did a backflip. Take that kid out the pool. Backflip, boy.
Yeah, if you don't have the etiquette, you can't come in the pool.
Right, then you got one coming in with a soggy diaper.
That's my favorite.
Soggy diaper kid.
Well, as long as there's no floating poop, then I think you'll be okay. That won't chase the neighbors away.
so cute.
I love that. That's cute.
There's always one child that thinks that they can swim today. It's like, yeah, you're just not old enough, sweetheart.
Do you have the kids that jump head on without thinking that there's there's deep water? They have zero. They have zero presence in when it comes to that. They just jump in and think it's just water that they're
Cool to
stepping
wear
in.
floaties. It's like put the
Oh,
life
yeah.
jacket and the floaties on. I'm sorry, sweetheart. You got to use the floaties. It's like, but I don't need them.
You know, back in the day, Dice, I don't know what it was like in your culture, but back in the day, you got thrown in the pool, and that's how you learned how to swim. Your parents just went, jump in, and if you don't, they threw you. And then you're just like, yeah.
That's what
It depended on life to be able to get to the top.
I would have to say so. Yes, it is.
I was
That
thrown.
is
I was thrown myself, not by my parents, by my cousin. And I was in 10 feet of water, and I curse him to this day. But
well, I got some friends. I'm introducing them to Hagunsuni, so let's see how
Mm.
that goes, right?
Mhm.
There's that mystery dish, so I'm like, it's Hagunsuni. You'll love it.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Wait, why does it look this way? Just eat it.
just eat it.
Just
Promise
eat
you'll
it.
love it.
You'll love it. Just eat it. You're gonna bring a Tupperware and want some more. Just eat it.
So you guys are going to do all of that. We're doing. My son-in-law Jesse, when we were at the commissary the other day with him, he's like, "Hey, do you guys want sliders?" Because I actually have. I'm just, I have a big fiesta coming up, and I don't want to eat that food now.
Okay.
Because I want that. I want what I want what we're having. For this party.
I'm following.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't want to barbecue today. That doesn't even make sense. And then this weekend we're going to be
Doing the same thing. all
we're going to
over
be
again.
having
It's like,
red rice out the yin yang because But anyway, I said, well, I wonder what should we have? And he said sliders.
Hey, I'm not mad at that.
I mean, who doesn't like a good slider on a flat top, right?
I love some sliders.
So he says, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it on the Blackstone. I'm like, okay.
Some sliders, yeah. Hey, let's do sliders. Sliders are delicious, Patty. Get them sliders, barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Oh my God, put on
Ew,
some
what?
cheese.
Who?
Well, what kind of slider? Pork sliders?
Well,
Wait,
I
what do you
mean,
mean?
barbecue sauce.
You mean like
you
pulled
mean like
pork?
pulled pork? No. He's
Oh, I'm
doing.
sorry.
He's doing patties, smash burgers. Sorry, smash burgers.
okay,
They're not
yeah.
sliders. I meant smash burgers.
Oh, smash burgers.
That's my jam
Okay.
right there.
Smash burgers?
Yeah,
That's your stuff?
that's my
Okay,
jam.
okay.
I don't like real thick meat like that, so
I
that
need it
works
thick.
out for me
We
perfect.
keep it thick and I like them juicy. Just saying.
We're still talking about burgers, right?
I need it. No, because even Panda was saying it. We need to kind of, it's going to break our mouth.
So
you know
true.
What I mean? Like, I want to get in there and just get it everywhere. it's just funner with that way. You know, kind of like.
I hear you, babe. I hear you. Well, I'm wishing you a wonderful opportunity. I know that you're partying with people who aren't from Guam, and that's always a great indoctrination into Dice. When Dice, if Dice is at your table, you're gonna learn something.
You guys are gonna learn.
You're going to learn today.
Yep, and we're gonna play tomorrow music.
There it goes, right there. That's what I'm saying.
Tomorrow music.
That's what I am saying. So,
thank you, Patty.
You know what?
I appreciate
we are having a day off tomorrow. I almost feel unworthy of this opportunity because we're byproducts of a generation of people who have taught us to be
We never get
survivalists.
days off unless it's a typhoon, and that's barely a day off. We never get. We have a day off. We never get days off.
There's an actual declaration of a day off in our company, and we couldn't have thought of it better that our owners would think that this is a holiday that many people will appreciate, not having to concentrate on anything. But what survivors, what this war has taught our community and generations of people. So, Biba Liberation.
Let's go.
Enjoy your day tomorrow. We'll catch you back here on Wednesday. Find Pauly Suba this afternoon from 2 until 6. He's probably going to be in the thick of what's happening at the legislature as they take a vote. And then what's going to happen, obviously, with the governor's emergency bill. All of that on the Pauly Show this afternoon on the bright side. And then right across the yard here, Dice is in Power 98. And she's going to take you through your afternoon from 2 until 6 p.m. on that station. And on this station, we're ready to say goodbye on Mornings with Patty. I'm Patty.
I'm Dice.
10 o'clock, KGUM FM. And Dedi Do Guam. Have a good Liberation Day holiday. Biba Guam. And thanks, Dice. We'll see you on Wednesday. Mwah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Guam. Thank you, Patty.